particularly deeply flavorful. Well, let's start off with so we've got oh, okay, so we've got two pre-gens and we've got what's your name here? Med Melchis. All right. So I know I sent that Otari primer stuff. I don't know how much you guys looked into that beforehand, but let's see. The lighthouse. Yeah. Well, we're not worried so much about the lighthouse right now. Let's talk a little bit about the village itself. The small seaside town of Otari. Let's get some Otari ambiance going on in the background here. They actually provide quite a bit of some nice audio cues. So the small seaside town of Otari is known for its fresh fish and skilled sailors. But above all, it's a big logging town, providing valuable wood to the nearby metropolis of Absalom. But for you, Otari is home. You grew up playing on the docks, getting lost in the nearby woods, and hearing the fantastical stories of travelers from faraway lands, tales of terrifying dragons and virtuous knights. Such adventure always seemed so distant until today. Word has begun to spread around Otari that there's a problem down at the Otari fishery. Some are saying that some sort of beast is lurking in the basement, feeding on the stores of salted fish. Folks are worried that whatever is eating the fish might get hungry enough to eat the fishers next. You've received a letter from Tamily Tanderville, the owner of the fishery. Inside is a desperate plea for help. With the town guard busy protecting the loggers, she needs a few brave souls to venture down into the basement of her warehouse and put an end to the beast that's feasting on her fish. Do you have the courage to face the menace under Otari?
Of course I have. I mean, let's just get this over with, okay? I mean, how bad can it be?
All right. Let's see here.
What was our friend's name? Tessie something?
Her name is Tamily Tendervale.
Timely
And
Tenderville.
if after receiving your letter you head down to the Otari fishery, you will encounter her. Just a moment here as I get the previous lot out of the way and find your characters.
Never mind the bodies. I have a proposition for you.
Valeros, Kyra, and Melchis, and maybe will be joined by a fourth later, who woke up late this morning. But let me show you Otari from above.
Mm.
A quaint little town of just over 1,000 people. And the fishery is right here by the wharf, as you can see.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like you're the only one who didn't make the jump for some reason.
What is
Uh,
that thing with a chute that we also saw in the picture before?
yes, that's the log flume.
Ah.
There is a giant wheel. In fact, it's called the Giant's Wheel, which is a great water wheel which powers the flume and which helps in the transport of freshly cut logs down to the ocean for further transport to Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I believe if any of you have grown up here or spent any amount of time here in your youth, there's a good chance you may have snuck onto the log flume and given it a ride down, in spite of the stern warnings of the loggers and the adults that it is dangerous business
Of
messing
course I
about.
have. I believe I still hold the record.
Yeah. You you may be sort of standing here by the docks, by the waterside, as the waves wash up over the gently over the beach, and reminiscing on old times when you hear a high pitch behind you as Tamily Tandervale steps out from her fishery. And she looks something like this. Says, "Oh, a lot of you got my letters. I'm so pleased that you all showed up. Well, almost all of you. I thought there was another who I sent a request to, but never mind that. Never mind. It's good to see you all. How are you doing?
Well, a bit of a headache, but that usually clears away by lunchtime.
Oh,
Anyway,
you've been spending too much time at the Cask, Valeros.
is that the name of the place? I guess I did. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, point us to the monster place, and please keep the gold ready.
oh, right. Of course. Gold. Yes.
Oh, right, silver. Sorry, I'm sounding greedy here.
Right. Oh, well, look, I have to confess, I don't. I run the fishery, as you know, and sometimes on the weekends and such, I open up the place for folks to have drinks and to play games, and sometimes run some competitions and stuff. But the point is, a lot of that is sort of my own charity. Um, yes, that's me. Oh yes, I'm happy to give favors. And maybe a few free drinks. She says, and she winks at Valor.
Uh, okay, I guess.
Thanks, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And all of Otari will thank you. I mean, if they know
Yeah,
that you.
yeah, they'll be the
Oh, yeah,
cou-
of course.
couple of grateful townsfolk. Of course, that's really nice. Well, maybe a workout's gonna get my headache to buzz off.
Good, very good. And well, look, is there anything that you need to know, or should I just point you to the cellar?
Well,
You see? What is it that's doing whatever it is you're suffering from?
I haven't exactly seen it, but I've certainly heard noises and seen the aftermath. The crunching and crashing sounds that they've been getting into the barrels of fish you see and snatching them away. This is the third time this week I've heard something down there, and
Oh, it's probably just rats.
tremendously large rats, and there's quite a few fish that have gone missing. Um, Big rats
Oh,
indeed.
well, maybe they are big rats then. Anyway, this way you said, and he points with his sword towards the building.
Yes, right through the fishery here. There's stairs down to the cellar, and you know what? I'll keep my eyes peeled for that fourth fellow who I messaged, and if I see him, I'll send him down to you.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be out before that. Thank you. And he walks towards the building and cracks his neck.
There we go. Sorry, getting my camera turned on. Karnas, just so you know, you're coming through a little muffled for me. I don't know if it's for anyone else, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
for
a
me too.
little hard to hear.
Yeah, but it was better at first. It kind of got worse when you got into character. Not sure.
I don't know if the mic.
Put on a fake mustache.
Okay. Well, if you're eager to get the work, then Tamily won't stand in your way. She will lead you to the fishery, and down towards the cellar. I'm gonna. There we go. Pasted 3 tokens. Just out of curiosity, who's taking the lead down the stairs?
Well, unless anybody stops him, Valeros is just gonna kind of brazenly trot onward. He expects no challenge with this. I think that's pretty clear.
Okay. Let's see. All right. All right, Melchis is following along in the middle. Then let's get you down there. All right. Tamily opens. You begin to step down a wooden staircase, each step creaking under you as you descend into the darkness of the cellar. Tamily stands up at the top and sort of framed the light coming through the doorway. She'll say, "Well, best of luck to you. If there's anything you need, I'll be up here. Keep an eye out, like I said. Luck!" And she kind of scurries off, maybe a certain tremulous note in her voice. As you.
Is she afraid of her own basement? Valeros growls.
um, as you head down into the lower area,
Oops. Your GM disappears.
He's doing apparently. In the center of the room, between stone pillars holding up the fishery overhead, are barrels filled with salted fish. 2 of these barrels have been smashed open, spilling their contents on the floor. In the east wall is a large hole opening into darkness. Just a few hours ago, you gathered. Oh, a little redundant, but just a few hours ago, you gathered with a few other adventurers in the office of Tamley Tanderville's office, where she offered you 10 gold pieces. Oh, she did have a reward. My mistake. 10 gold pieces each if you could put an end to the menace. She scrapes together a bit more coin, and she's thrilled, of course, that you've agreed to help with this simple task, but as you make your way down the stairs, you can't help but wonder if this might be a lot more adventure than you bargained for.
What's the worst that can happen? Valeros says as he trots down the staircase.
It shouldn't be paused, but I just toggled. Just toggled it, so maybe try it, yeah.
Look at that place, Valeros says, and does a sweeping motion with the sword. It's not a way to keep your inventory. And it takes a look at the what has spilled out of the barrels.
I think so because we see the lights that's
Yeah.
Oh,
how
I was assuming that it's like dim light, where
Yeah.
it's dim and
Yeah.
there's
you what?
and Miss Kira is going to touch her little crowny
what an assumption. I guess every cleric just makes light, huh? There we go.
that's better.
Yep. And Valeros, as you take a look and start poking around these casks, the ones that have been broken open, you notice that they are empty. It looks like there's some kind of briny smelling fluid, presumably for preserving fish, that is spilled out on the floor, but no signs of the barrel's actual contents.
Oh, looks like all the fish are gone. He yells.
Yes, but what ate it?
Does he see any signs of like claws or any leftover gutted fish or anything that would suggest an animal?
Let's see. Why don't you give me a perception check, Valeros?
Um,
Yeah,
so
you can assist him if you so desire. If I remember correctly, you also need to make a check of your own, and then you can it'll add a circumstance bonus to Valeros's check.
wasn't aiding in 2E kind of weird, where it's you only aid it, you beat this yourself or something? Not
Right. It's a
yeah.
little.
Is that
It seems almost as if one would be better off making the check themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to. I haven't seen this dialogue before, so I think I just leave everything to on, say normal, and roll publicly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Yeah, like I said, Valeros does not really, suspect anything interesting here. So
Yeah.
just gives it a cursory glance.
Valeros doesn't see any special signs of anything. No gutted fish. In fact, it doesn't really look like the fish are being consumed here. You do
Mhm.
see something even on a natural one that is impossible for anyone to miss, which is that the eastern wall of the cellar seems to have fallen in. There's debris and rubble scattered all over the floor here.
Bring the light over here, please. Looks like we have a breakthrough.
And as Kyra brings the light a little closer to this gap in the wall, you suddenly hear a strange chittering sound from it. A massive rat, the size of a dog, emerges from the darkness, and it isn't alone. The giant rats rush toward you, their huge teeth snapping. And this is where we will enter
Something terrible is
into.
happening to Kira.
I'm sorry. I just saw something weird on the dying conditions. I was trying to remove it.
You've fallen prone, it seems.
I tried to remove it.
You need to right click on the little icon to make it go away.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. On the sheet, there's the dying spot where you mark your dying condition, and there's four little bubbles.
Hmm.
And the last one has a skull, so I thought it was like one is already crossed out, but I guess that's the last one for if you reach it, you're gone.
Yeah, it is. It's left to right. Do we need to toggle our combat state ourselves, or how does this work?
Well, um, technically the module doesn't worry too much about it at this point, but what we can do is get going with initiative.
Yes.
So, funny enough, you use perception checks to start your initiative rolls, and since two of you already made them, those seem like the most appropriate ones to start with. Unfortunately for
So,
Valeros.
okay, so those count. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still getting the hang of it myself, but it sort of seems to suggest carrying over like stealth perception roll when you're doing
Yeah,
things like that.
I think that makes sense.
So
Because yeah,
yeah,
I was saying I was looking for signs of animals, and then obviously I missed them, so it makes sense that I would.
right. So what you can do is add yourselves to initiative, and then you can actually click the little fist that's next to each of your perception results to make that your initiative.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, isn't that cool?
that's is it in there? Yeah, that's very cool.
So is that available on any sort of skill check?
Uh, I think it does it specifically for perception, and it might do it for stealth as well because those are the most like commonly used ones. But I don't know. I don't recall it being on every single check. Or maybe that pops up when I start an encounter.
No, it was there when I rolled the perception check. I was wondering what that
Oh,
fist was supposed to
okay.
be,
Well,
so it didn't show up after the fact.
then I guess it's always there. All right.
Pretty dice.
We're off to a spectacular start, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Rat number 1, of course, it's the one in the rear, which is going to start off. And
I really like these the pictures popping out of the tokens. I think that gives it a lot more depth.
Yeah.
Oh wow, and the token is behind the
first.
the. I'm sorry.
Are you guys there? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it's gone. But see, the token is behind the
Yeah.
webs, the spider. Yeah, that's nifty.
I'm sorry, guys. I have no idea what's going on. My Discord keeps closing out and restarting
Weird.
like the third time now. Let's get this combat going. All right. The first of the rats lunges forward. As you remember, we've got a 3-action economy here, and the rat is going to use its first action to stride. It has to push past the slower moving rat in front of it. We'll go 10, 15, 20 feet to charge straight towards Valeros. It is then going to open its jaws and try to strike Valeros with them. Let's see if this combat turns out as nearly disastrous as it did for my last group.
Well.
Great.
Okay. Valeros, that is a critical hit right off the bat as the rat lunges forward. You weren't ready for it as the thing flies out of the darkness and chomps down with its massive incisors. That is going to be a critical hit for 14 points of damage. Oh my goodness.
Taken. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's completely taken by surprise and not ready at all, and the thing just, I don't know, finds an just almost tears it off.
Alright.
He's badly injured.
Okay, that is a bad start, and unfortunately the rat has one more attack. It uses its third attack to try and chew on Valeros while he is down. Wait.
Yeah, but I have to ready it so I can use it, and I haven't acted at all.
Fortunately, the next strike, Valeros manages to ward off as the teeth scrape against his metal arm. Turn. Kyra, you're up.
Well, Kyra is clearly startled by all this eruption. She wasn't ready, so she's going to take one act to draw her scimitar. One to stride, because I guess she can't step here anyways. And with her last strike, she's going to try to skewer this rat.
An 18 is, in fact, a hit. And just as a note, you can target the enemies, and then it will actually compare the attack to their AC, and tell you if a critical hit, all of that stuff. But that is a solid strike, 7 points of damage, as the scimitar hacks into the rat's side and leaves it. Its blood splattered all viciously, or Come on, 1 hit point. Take your damage. What the hell is this?
I think it did. It says near death.
There's a little connectivity issue here. Come on. There we go.
Ah.
And it is...
Maybe we should jump to Google Meet or something, so Anthony doesn't drop out all the time. Do you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is
Anthony, how do you feel about going to Google Meet so you don't drop out all the time?
I don't think it's that. I think it's my actual internet connection is, for some reason, struggling,
Okay.
which is unusual.
Yeah.
But
Well, as long as you keep coming back quickly, that's not gonna be a big deal. But is that token taking damage?
it is. I'm trying to make its hit points go to 1, but every time I do, it's adding blood to the token, but it's but it's not setting the hit points. Okay, it's
But
it's
it does
near
say,
death is the point.
it does say near death, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's just for me. It's just my stupid connection right now.
Okay.
Let's see if the next rat if I can actually move it. It is going to advance. And of course, Kyra has just stepped up and presented herself as a shining figure. So it is going to strike at her. That is a 13 to hit you.
And miss.
And a miss as you quickly fend it off, falls to the ground, scrabbling amongst the rubble there, and then strikes one last time at your heels, and misses again as it snaps at your feet. The last rat is going to charge forward as well, leaping out of the darkness. 15 through its ally's square, and it's also going to squeeze right over here to get to...
Do I get a reaction?
I believe you do, yes.
Even though I haven't acted yet?
Be honest, I don't think you start off flat-footed or anything, so I think you're good.
Okay, then I'll use my reaction for an attack of opportunity, which means I can just do a regular attack, right?
Yes.
Because I mean I am holding the weapon as I've said before, so I told you it's fast. And 21 to hit.
That
how do
is...
I target? Sorry. How do
Yeah, if you right-click on the rat and then hit the little, like, it looks like a target, the 2 consecutive circles.
Yeah. Oh no, I have to double right-click. I think because I don't get that context thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. For enemies, you double right-click.
Yeah.
I always forget it's a little different for players.
Yeah. Okay. So 21 to hit.
All right, that is definitely a hit. You jab at the rat as it doesn't expect your sudden strike. Go ahead and give me the damage. 8 points of damage, even as the thing comes lunging forward, apparently going for Melchis. You skewer it through with your blade, and it falls dead on the spot. Let's see if I can actually have it take damage. There we go. Excellent. Alright, already things are off to a much better start. Melchis, it's your turn. It is a nature check, yes. That is, unfortunately, a failure.
It's a mouse.
Which one are you shooting at? Okay. Since there are allies in between you and it will get the very light cover. What the hell is the minimal cover called? But it's just a +1 circumstance bonus to its AC, essentially. Go ahead and make the strike.
Is that for however many characters are between him and the target?
I think it's just for if there's characters in between.
Oh, that's it. That's cool. He dropped. I'll be right back, but we can hear you.
Yeah, it's. I might just reset my router in a second. See if that's the issue. It's just. Oh, that's God. With the adjustment to its AC from the allies in the way, just a miss. I believe the crossbow has the reload feature.
It should say reload and the number.
Let me see.
Reload time 1.
Yeah, it does. It has a reload. So the number next to the reload is the number of actions you need to spend to put a new bolt in and load it. All right, you load up another bolt, getting ready to take a second shot. That will bring us to Valeros.
He still reels in pain and goes like, "Ah, it hurts. It's just goddamn cheap booze," and takes a swing at the one that's already hurt.
Right.
Strikes once.
And strikes a critical hit of his own.
Bada bing. Oh, well, it's still 10.
Still 10 points of damage, which is enough to run that rat through and finish it off easily.
Right, he runs it through and then steps onto its remains. There's a sickening squishing sounds when he like buries his boots into the carcass to get a firm grip or firm standing, and then swings at the remaining one with a how do I put the map penalty in here?
It's when you make the attack, you can actually choose the button that's the MAP -4 if you're doing it off of the sheet.
I'm using this HUD thing here. So I don't know if that gives me the same option.
Let's see, actions.
Oh yeah, I see.
Strikes,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use the map -5. There we go. Okay, well that's a miss.
And that is a wild swing that will clang off of the stonework.
Yeah, and as the metallic sound rings out, he winces as it sets off his headache again.
The first rat is dead, which means it is Kyra.
Well, Kyra is going to turn to the remaining rat and try to dispatch it.
Yes.
That is a well-placed strike from the scimitar.
Uh,
4 points of damage, wounds, but it does not kill the rat.
And she's going to give it a try again.
Oh. Let's see. Does forceful kick in with this? With your scimitar?
What does forceful? Well, if it's there, it's probably because the scimitar has forceful.
Right. When you attack with it more than once on your turn, the second attack gains a circumstance bonus to damage equal to the number of weapon damage dice.
Yeah.
And each subsequent attack gains a circumstance bonus to damage equal to double the number of weapon damage dice.
So that's a +1 to damage.
Alright. So is that I think that's not including the +1, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It also has sweep. I don't know.
I love that you can just mouse over the traits and get the...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's why making it easier to attack. When you attack with this weapon, you gain a... If you already attempted to attack a different target. That's interesting. Okay. Well, 7 points of damage is enough to lop the head off of this rat and leave the place quiet once again.
Right. And then Valeros lets his sword just kind of clank onto the floor as he loses the tension, and he sighs heavily. I mean, it's obvious that he's almost collapsing, and he's so badly damaged, and he's just like, "Come on, should not have come out for this." Okay. And then he tries to lift himself up. All right, let's keep going.
Well, let's just step over here just for a second to look at those walls.
If you insist. Oh, this really is just like getting a haircut.
Okay. You can use the treat wounds action. If you guys take a few minutes here, if we switch from encounter mode to exploration mode, if just go under the hood for a second, you guys can kind of break things up into 10-minute intervals here. And you can try to treat his wounds. Technically, I believe the game requires you to have healer's tools, which I see you have. Excellent. Look at you guys coming properly equipped. Yeah.
Can Valeros do something in those 10 minutes to catch his breath and regenerate some of it himself?
Yes, I believe technically you can do something during that time as well, as long as you're not, doing something that would interfere with him patching you up.
I mean, all he would do is just kind of try to relax, and regain some stamina.
Sure. That is a very nice medicine roll, and that will allow you to restore. What is it? I think it's.
Oh, I have it here. It's
It's on a success. It's 2d8.
2d8.
Ooh. Gimme.
Yeah.
Meh.
4 hit points back.
Okay, well, Valeros is obviously badly injured, but is still determined to pretend like everything's fine. Probably still, blood coming out of his ears. All right, okay, that should do it.
Right. And Kyra, what is she doing during this time?
Well, she was planning on bandaging Valeros, but I guess Mr. Barber is quite proficient himself, so she's
Well, is
just
there any reason you can't do it? That both of you can do it in the same?
You can only
yeah. It says you become there's a yeah immune.
Oh, because it's just like mundane healing, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. I'm not getting any more rat bites today. It hurts. Yeah. Anyway, did you find anything interesting over there, Kyra?
Does she?
Well, if you're just looking around amongst the other supplies that are in the cellar here, it seems to be mostly the basics, some sort of general goods, lots of salt for preserving fish, a few bottles of alcohol of varying sorts, and
Yeah, I'll have some of that. That's can you just? We'll consider it a bonus.
You mean to disinfect your wound?
Yes, exactly. But here I can disinfect it from the inside.
Sure.
All right. Two. All right, and he holds out his mug that he's wearing around his belt, apparently, for you to pour some in it.
There you go.
There you go. And he lifts it up a little bit, looks at the ceiling, and mumbles something. You hear Caden being mentioned, and then downs it in one go and goes, yep, that's the stuff. That is your funeral.
all right.
So,
If
well, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, he was just grunting.
Uh,
He will make a sound with every move at this point because everything hurts.
all right. Well, as you guys are progressing, talk a little bit about other kinds of exploration mode activities, namely how you are proceeding into here. Is there anything in particular that Melchis, Valeros, and Kyra are doing as they peer down into a darkened tunnel which descends down a slope and out of sight? Right, proceeds quietly.
And Valeros, even though I mean he does come off as if he's not really taking this seriously, but he actually keeps his wits about him and keeps his ears open and his eyes open to see if he can find anything.
All right. So you're gonna kind of seek around for anything that might be hidden as you progress. What about Kyra?
Same thing. She definitely does not want to be munched on by rats or anything else.
All right. In that case, why don't each of you give me a secret roll? Let's get a secret stealth roll from Melchis and 2 secret perception checks.
Is that a blind GM
A
roll?
blind GM roll. That'd be it. It actually has a little, like, if you're looking at the sheet, it has a little crossed out eyeball next to those. And you can click that.
Okay.
If
Keep using the HUD.
yeah.
I should probably use the sheet instead.
I think the
She's
HUD.
pretty nice.
Yeah, I think the HUD gives you
The sheet is
options.
nice, is it?
Yeah.
Does everything work when you use it as a pop-out, or is there any bugs?
I kept it in screen. I haven't tried yet.
I don't know if it'll make all the rolls and stuff if you do the pop out, to be honest.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Alright, well, squeezing through the hole, you find yourself in a cavern that seems to stretch endlessly beneath the streets of Otari. Who knows what menace could be lurking down here? Up ahead, the passageway ends in a cliff that plunges sharply into the darkness.
Well, I mean, there's what's her name?
Family?
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think she is aware of this place? Should we maybe tell her first? Should we go up real quick and tell her before we? I'm happy to take the lead, of course, but I don't know. That's weird. All right. I'm with you.
Are those mushrooms?
They do look like large mushrooms. And that gap, I will say, that drop is 10 feet down and looks like it is covered with slick moisture. It will require... Yeah, I think you got stuck. But it is slick with moisture, and if you had any intention to progress further, you might need to climb down carefully.
Okay, so climbing is what kind of skill here?
Athletics, I think.
It would be an athletics check.
Okay, so then Valeros is gonna feel very confident about that, and if we realize that we need to climb down, he's gonna hiss at Melchis. Let me go first. I can give you a hand down. All right. Let's hope it won't be. All right, and he gives you a little crooked smile before he tries to climb down. Let me see if he has anything in his pack that might help. He has a grappling hook.
And Kyra does have rope.
And he also has rope. So he's gonna tie the rope to the grappling hook and then try to climb down. Yeah. Anchor grappling hook make an attack roll with a secret trait against the DC depending on the target, typically at least 20. Well, that's if you want to throw it.
Yeah,
Right.
you can just like lodge it in a rock.
Yeah.
Where we stand.
So should I roll anything for that, Anthony?
I don't think there's any need for that, no. You can simply, there's plenty of rough surfaces here, you can find a little crag to affix it to, and then drop the rope down over the side.
Okay. And then basically we just get the benefit of the rope for the climb check.
You do, and with the rope hanging down, that will actually decrease the DC of the check. Let me try this. Sometimes this worked and sometimes it didn't seem to for my other group, but I can... Why did it do that? Delete that real quick. And just have it post the skill check right there. And you can actually, in theory, you should be able to click it right into the chat and have your character make the athletics check.
Okay. I'm not gonna put a modifier on it, but that looks good.
Yeah. And not...
success.
That is a
great, so it gives you the degree. Okay.
indeed for that. And Valeros can easily, with the rope, just drop down a few feet. Probably doesn't even need to touch the wall as he just drops himself down steadily and touches down below.
Okay. Then he's gonna take a quick look around as he sage whispers up the cliff. All right, everybody, come on down.
Kyra will try to go next.
Right, Kyra, similarly with the help of the rope, descends with little effort. It's not that big of a fall anyway.
FYI, Anthony, I'm just going to assume that Valeros has his sword and shield out, unless there's any reason why he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, you can actually use an exploration action called Raise a Shield, or I think it's like Defend or something, so that as you progress, you've already got your shield starts. If you want to proceed like that.
I think that's not his style. I think he'll just kind of knuckle drag his equipment around.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And of course, Melchis has no issue at all. And as you round that corner, you see that the cave descends and extends even further.
Point out that those mushrooms are huge. Those are some big mushrooms.
Those are some pretty big mushrooms.
Okay, but just so you know, Carnes, we're following you, so. Well, that looks. So what is the light situation here? Kyra has a light which has what kind of radius?
Where are the spells? 20 foot, bright lights in 20 feet, and then dim lights in 20 feet again. Like a torch.
Okay, because I think I can see further than that.
You can, actually. Valeros, as you're peering downwards, you swear you can see a faint.
I don't like that. Carnes, are you back? What? Anthony, is this posting the skill check and then others roll it? Is that part of the tweaks of the or the optional?
No, that's part of the one of the features of this box. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it works the way it's supposed to every time, because I've tried it other times posting things, and the player said that they couldn't roll it. So I don't know if that was a scripting issue or if there was something else going on. But in theory, all of these into the like the journal notes for the adventure, and then I as GM can just click the little speech bubble and it posts it.
Maybe that has to do with your character name showing up next to your player name, because you basically have a default character that way. You know. Otherwise, Foundry doesn't know which character sheet to use to roll that check. Are you back, Carnes?
You know, you may be able to. I don't know if it's a connectivity issue or a performance issue, but you may be able to choose the performance mode if you go to the core settings. Yeah, 'cause it's automatically at maximum, but you can take it down. You can change the frame rate. You can do stuff like that if it's problematic in some way. At least Melchis is. Yes. And as you continue downward, the tunnel dives deeper and deeper underground, eventually opening into a large chamber. Patches of glowing blue fungus just barely make out vast strands of webbing across the floor and walls of this cavern, stretching between stalactites like shimmering curtains.
I don't like the looks of that. Valeros is gonna lift up his sword to cut through some of the webbing, unless anybody stops him. Why? I see. Okay. Well, I don't know. And he like pats his pockets. I think I left my fireball at the tavern last night. Valeros hisses it again, like under whispers. Do you see anything though? That light gives me the creeps.
Perception. Like the others have been keeping their eyes peeled so far, and they have not spotted anything amiss. And let me ask you this, Melchis, as you're stepping forward through the webs there, are you just kind of push forward? They're all over the place. I said, as you're sort of stepping through the webs there, are you just kind of pushing through them, or? Okay. All right. In that case, I'm going to ask you for one of these, an acrobatics check to avoid disturbing the webs as you move through.
All of us?
All right. Melchis moves nimbly through the curtain of webs, even as he peers around.
And as we follow him, we need to make the same check?
Yeah, if you're trying to avoid the webs.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to take his advice here. But,
All right, Valeros is quite nimble as well, ducking and weaving through the webbing. This, Kyra, as you are sort of approaching the webs and you see the others working their way through, you have been keeping your eyes peeled.
And
It's a dramatic time to draw.
oh, rocks start falling.
This looks amazing, though, the way that, like, there's...
The layering, yeah.
Yeah.
Shaking my head here. There's a bundle of
Anthony dropped out for a bit.
yeah. Kyra, as you're approaching the webs, you've been keeping your eyes peeled, and you actually spot something amongst the webs that catches your attention.
Okay.
There looks like a wrapped up bundle of bones and dried skin, perhaps, that may have been some sort of small reptilian creature. It's caught up in the web.
Where does she see it?
It is further off, more in like this direction over here.
Okay. Well, she is not going to mention that, but she's going to try to follow in the footsteps. And she is not as graceful as the other two.
No, not at all. She tries to be nimble, but one foot slips a little bit, and as she stumbles back to catch herself, she causes one of the great strands of web to twang, and you can see the vibration make its way all the way up the strand and begin to shift and gently cause all of the webbing to shake. And as that web settles back to stillness, you see something come crawling along it. Out of a nook on the northern wall, a massive spider appears. And it looks hungry. Once again, we will be rolling initiative.
Alright.
It looks like it's under the webbing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's because there's like roof layers on this map that go over your tokens and stuff.
So is it going to be stealth for Melchis or perception?
It will, I believe in this case, we can stick with stealth for Melchis since he's been moving quietly.
We'll learn in a second.
Sorry guys, I don't know why I'm having so much difficulty with this.
Don't worry. Kyra said thank you to ask again.
I'll use your stealth roll from earlier. Where the heck? It's the only trick about it is I have to go back and find it. There they are.
Okay, weird, because I have a macro that says initiative perception, and if I roll that, but it doesn't add me to the initiative track. So I have to toggle my comments. I'm just going to roll again, and then you can change it to the original roll, which was a 10.
And Kyra, we're gonna add you in there. What happens if
Yes.
like this?
Yes, so if you use the initiative perception thingy, you don't get the little fist.
Yeah, I think you have to toggle your combat state first, and then use the initiative perception.
Yeah, that might be.
It doesn't add you to the tracker by itself.
And the combat state is done by the GM only, or
No, you can do that yourself. Just right-click your token and then click the sword and shield.
oh, okay.
And you can always just click the D20 in the encounter tracker as well, and that'll automatically make a perception-based initiative roll as well, if that's easier.
It looks like it's the same macro. And Anthony, can you set my initiative to 10? Because that was my original roll.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, and a 17 for Kyra. And the spider.
It should be 14, because I had rolled before.
Man. Just getting some big thunder now. All right.
Oh, maybe that's why.
I don't know if the storm would be messing with my internet, but I guess it could be. I don't know. Let's see. Is the spider technically making a stealth roll for initiative? It feels like it should be, but no, I guess it is using perception as well. It was it perceived the movement of the webs, so. And of course, it beats all of you. Wonderful. Okay, that means the spider is first to act. Crawling out of its hidden lair, it begins to move along the webbing. Now, I should note this for those of you who are in the web still, namely Kyra. Where is it? I thought there was some sort of description about the web slowing you down. Yes. The areas with the webbing are considered to be difficult terrain. Meaning that it costs an extra 5 feet of movement to move through each of those, and creatures cannot step into a square of difficult terrain. The spider, however, seems to have no issues with this as it moves nimbly across its web and strikes. It is a few feet up in the air, moving along the webs at 10 feet of elevation, and from up on high, it is going to make a ranged attack to start. Spinning its little spinnerets together, it launches a gob of webbing at Kyra. That is an 18 to hit Kyra.
That does hit.
All right. As you are caught up in the web, you are stuck to the nearest surface, in this case the floor and probably some of the wall behind you. You cannot move until you successfully escape. The spider is then going to stride across the webbing. Right on over here. And it is going to use its last action to descend on a web, attaching some of the web and then dropping down to ground height, poising with its fangs bared. Kyra, it is your turn.
To escape, what skill would that be?
Let's see. Escape. There was a little thing for escape that appeared in the box here. That's an action. You attempt to escape from being grabbed, immobilized, or restrained. Choose one creature, object, blah, 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 blah. Attempt a check using your unarmed attack modifier against the DC of the effect. This is typically the athletics DC of the creature grabbing you, the thievery DC, blah, blah, blah. There is, the DC is 17 in this case. So it is an unarmed.
So it's an unarmed strike, and it counts as a strike?
I would imagine so because it has the attack modifier. So yeah, it would.
Okay.
It has the attack trait, I should say.
Well, I think she is going to try it at least.
Are you taking any penalties to attack while you're being webbed?
Technically no. It's not listing any other conditions, so you simply can't move away from there. A 12 will not get you out of the webbing, though.
Well, she is stuck. What can she do? She can. She can. Let's see here. Well, I think she will try to stab at the creature. And miss.
That is a miss, indeed.
And that leaves Kyra with one act. I don't know if there's anything like if you don't have a shield.
There is something called take cover, which is something you can really only do if there's like cover around you. I might argue that since you're right against the wall there, you might be able to press up against it a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of right there, right next to you.
So I don't see anything else that she could do. I guess she can always try a desperate strike.
Oh, is that attacking the spider itself?
Yeah.
Okay, that is unfortunately a miss.
That's bad. That's bad. Looks bad.
All right. Okay, Melchis is up as Kyra is struggling to get out of this webbing. Right? That would be nature once again. This time you do indeed recall some knowledge about spiders and giant ones in particular. You know that it has a toxic bite, which can potentially poison its victims. It's rather nasty and it can kind of leave you feeling a bit woozy. And Very nice. All right, you've got a nice clean shot on it. Let me turn on its flat-footed condition for a second. A 13. Let's see. Even though it is flat-footed, that is still a miss, unfortunately.
Ooh. It's rough.
And is that it for? All right. So that was one action to recall knowledge, one action to step, and one to take the shot. You can drop the crossbow. You'll technically need to draw the weapon on the next round, but that's fine. Got it. Okay. Valeros?
Valeros is gonna grunt. Looks like we're glorified exterminators down here. And he's gonna do a double slice. Also, sorry if I keep spamming the chat with macros. It's not clear to me when I'm just looking at something
Yeah.
and when it is triggering a roll.
Yeah,
So
that's
sorry
okay.
about that. All right, so I'm gonna try a double slice, which is 2 actions. And I can do it because I have a longsword and my shield has shield boss
All
on
right.
it. So I'm gonna he's gonna swing his sword or try to stab it and then follow up with a shield bash right away. And when I do a double slice, I make 2 strikes, one with each of my 2 melee weapons, using my current multiple attack penalty, which is 0. So I'm gonna strike with the wait, first I'm gonna select it. Then I'm gonna strike with my longsword first. So close.
That is a
And
miss.
and then I'm gonna try my shield with the same. There we
Hey,
go.
now that is a critical hit.
And the critical is, oh, come on. Still, it's a 10.
Still a 10. So the longsword gets caught up in the webbing a little bit, and you can't make an effective strike. But the shield, you just ram right through, catch the thing on the boss, and it was not expecting that. It will take the 10 points of damage, and it looks badly bloodied by that.
Nice. Small addendum. Because my shield doesn't have the agile property, it should have been a 26, but I'm assuming that's still a critical hit.
No, actually, it's not.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
So that's only 5 points then.
Yep. So it's not badly bloodied, I guess.
It's
All right, and then
just injured.
I'm just gonna. But since this was just one action, my next attack has the MAP -5, right?
You should
I mean,
look at what
huh?
double slice says, because those special actions will tell you how.
Oh yeah, you're right. It says this counts as 2 attacks when calculating your multiple attack penalty.
Yeah.
So that's gonna suck. -10 is not gonna cut it. I mean, even if I roll a 20, I think. So I'm just gonna raise my shield as my last action.
All right, take the defensive. Well, the spider is let's see here. Not happy with this state of affairs. It just wanted to get a good chomp in on Kyra, and instead it's getting slammed by Valeros. But I think it will continue. It was readying to bite Kyra, and it will follow through with that by trying to strike her with its fangs. This is a big one. Oh,
Ooh.
that is... Oh, I should have targeted Kyra.
That
What
is
is your... That is a critical hit. That's really bad news.
Oh crap! Oh crap!
In addition to the 16 points of
fuck.
damage,
That's gonna hurt.
I'm going to need you to give me a fortitude saving throw
Okay,
against its poison.
so the 16 is enough to down Kyra.
Oh god!
Shit.
All right, this is a really freaking deadly first adventure. Sometimes.
So do I go dying 1? No, it's a crit, so dying 2.
Yes, indeed, you're right. You're at dying 2 already, and you need to
Okay.
make the fortitude save, which could put you to dying 3.
Oh, awesome.
We really need Alejandro to come in with a bunch of fireballs.
Fortitude.
Actually, I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't know if it counts as an additional instance of damage, because it's the damage that comes off of that attack.
You mean about the critical being dying 2?
No. That part is correct. I don't know if there's any additional effect from the poison at this point. Let me take a look. There's a quick guide here on like death and dying that they conveniently included. Let's see. Beginner's guide, game mechanics, types of rolls. Is it under damage? No, it's somewhere else. Modes of play, types of rolls, game mastering. No. Hit points, healing, and dying. There we go. Let's see. You gain the dying 1 condition, gain dying 2 if the damage was dealt by a non-lethal attack, blah, blah, blah. If you ever reach dying 4. If you take damage while you already have the dying condition, you increase your dying value by 1 or by 2 if the damage came from an attacker's critical hit or your own critical failure. See, the thing is, I don't know if this is considered damage that's part of the attack that made you unconscious, or if it's like another triggering thing.
Well, is it hit point damage even?
It is hit point damage.
Oh, I see. Well, I would say that's another source of damage.
I guess so, because it was the piercing damage alone, which is bringing.
Unless, I mean, what does the poison description say? Does it say you add this much damage with the poison trade or something?
It says a target damaged by the spider's fangs must succeed the saving throw or take X amount of damage and gain the flat-footed condition for 1 round. I guess
that's definitely an edge case.
Sounds like another source. I guess. Yeah, it is kind of an edge case. I don't want to kill a PC quite yet, so I'm just gonna rule that as it's part of the same damage. So I'll roll the damage just so we can see what it would be, but it's not gonna. Yeah, that would have been another 7 points of poison damage, but I'm gonna lump it in with the spider bite and say that it was all very devastating for Kyra, but not an additional dying factor. And satisfied that the victim has been poisoned and will eventually just bleed out of its own accord, the spider is going to retreat a little bit, pulling back up into its webbing and using the climb action to do so. It is going to retreat back up to 10 feet of elevation. I will say that does, I believe, provoke an opportunity attack if Valeros is interested in taking one.
Definitely gonna take that reaction. Do I still take any MAPs on that?
That's an excellent question. I don't
Not
think
on
so.
reactions, no.
No.
Reactions. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I didn't. I keep forgetting to target them
That's
first.
okay.
22.
A 22 is a hit.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, okay. Before the spider can even withdraw to try and ensnare any more of you in its web, Valeros just hacks it down. And it falls
Get off of her! And hacks it down.
dead.
Oops.
I think technically she has to make one more because she's still ahead of you in initiative. She has to. So her turn will come up.
Okay.
And what is it? If you ever
Yeah, that
reach
makes
dying
sense.
4, whenever you have the dying condition at the start of each of your turns, you must attempt a flat check, which is just a d20 roll.
And the hero point. Oh well, too late.
And the DC. Oh boy. I was gonna say the DC is equal to
15 plus dying condition.
Well, no, it's 10 plus your current dying value, so it would be DC 12. So you failed, but you didn't fail critically. Your dying value would increase by another 1, so you're at 3 out of 4, and then at that point, Melchis can advance in.
Okay, so it's the
I believe what you're doing is considered first aid, if I remember correctly.
but I think on the sheet it's just a medicine.
Right. It what it translates to is a medicine check, but there's specific rules for what that means. But yeah, go ahead and make the medicine check. I'm gonna try and look up the provide first aid.
Oh, I have it. It's what misguided me. This one is 15 plus dying condition.
Oh no!
Oh no! Does that reduce her?
Yeah, Kyra is dead, but she's going to spend her single hero point to not die.
Okay.
Oh my god!
Oh man.
Wow,
Well.
this is brutal.
Melchis did his best.
Well. Valeros goes. The hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, that's what you shouldn't
Never
trust
said I
barbers
had life before.
for surgery.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. Okay. Maybe we need to keep this in initiative order for the moment because she's still at risk of bleeding out. So the hero point spendage just means you.
Wait, but how? I don't understand. So, how does the hero point avoid death? Because once Melchis does his first aid, it would get you to death.
Melchis' critical failure on the first aid, I believe, means that her dying condition actually increases, right?
Yeah. So Kyra did go to dying 4 and does 2 dead, but I have here the little hero point thing. Basically, you spend all your hero points and you cancel it all, and you lose dying condition.
Oh, okay. Yeah, administer first aid is DC is equal.
Oh, when your dying condition would increase. Okay, so it's specifically exactly this situation. That. Yeah. Okay, I see.
Hero point.
And stabilize.
All right. But here's the important part. I think you still take the wounded condition, right?
Yeah, it's in the chat. It's in the chat. You don't
you
gain the
don't.
wounded condition or increase its value.
Oh, you
But
don't
if
gain
you-
the wounded condition.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's huge because that's the difference between having like wounded 3 and basically if you go down again you probably instantly die. Or not having that at all. All right.
Oh, you retain the level of the dying condition on the wounded condition, or how does
Right.
that
So
work?
if you're at dying 2, but then you're brought back up, you go to wounded 2, which is basically a way of carrying over that
Mm-hmm.
those failures, so that the next time you go down, you start off right there already. Or
Yeah.
right, yeah, right, correct. Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I think I just made a decision to grow my hair out for a while.
Uh, I believe. Well, she's still unconscious.
She is unconscious. Do any of these pre-gens start you off with any like healing potions in your inventory? I don't actually know.
Oh yeah, my sheet says elixir of life, minor. So Valeros is gonna drop to his knees and trickle it down Kyra's throat.
All right.
There we go. Use elixir. It's 4 points.
So that will actually restore 4 hit points to Kyra and wake her back up.
What happened?
Valeros adds, and like he dangles the little vial in front of Kyra's face and says, "You owe me a shot."
Okay, a shot is fair. Thanks. And she's not gonna get up yet. She is going to. Let's see, where is it? Pum, 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 pum. Ask them both to stay close. And cast a heal.
Hmm. Which one?
The channel version, three actions. But when it doesn't really show which version it's gonna.
It's the same amount of hit points no matter what. It's just how you can
Oh,
distribute them.
oh, okay.
So just click the thing that says healing, and it
Okay.
should roll it. All right, 5 hit points to everyone, including the spider. It twitches back to let no. Its bisected remains twitch for a couple of seconds with restored life, and then it bleeds out again.
All right. Do you think you can stand? Valeros says to Kyra.
I think Kyra is still a little bit woozy, and she's going to pull out her healer's kit and bandage herself a little further. Sure, you can. You did it quite well on Valeros, so why not?
All right, that is a. Is that a critical success?
And I don't. It's DC 15, I think. Where is it? Treat wounds DC 15, so it's not a crit.
No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, DC 15. You can roll the 2d8. That's just
Oh,
short
I
of a
am sure.
critical.
Still, I'm sure it looks way more proficient than what Melchis did. So Valeros is gonna say, "Remind me to let you change my bandages next time."
All right, that takes a few minutes there for Kyra to finish bandaging herself up. Is there anything that the others are doing as she's kind of closing up that massive gash?
Well, Valeros is gonna say, "Well, I guess now it's safe to do this," and he's just gonna start chopping through the webbing.
Okay. You can hack and cut through the webbing.
Yeah, but while as he's doing that, he's basically searching the room.
Sure. Yeah, you can probably, as you're hacking your way through, just naturally stumble across the same bundle of bones and skin that Kyra had initially spotted.
Can he cut it open?
Sure.
Looks like I found something here.
All right, and I'm gonna try this. Bing. There's actually a loot thing on the map. If you double click it, you can see what's inside.
Oh, an unusual short sword with a question mark on it, and an unusual liquid. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what can I do?
Well, you can attempt to identify these items.
Okay. So,
And in the case of the short sword, I would ask for a crafting check.
so
There you
should
go.
I click something first before I roll that? Because
Let me see if I can post this one to the chat. Post skill checks to chat. Ah. Indeed, Melchis, you spend a few minutes looking this thing over. It is rather unusual for a short sword. It has a small emerald embedded in the pommel, and you give it a good hard look over. Valeros too. You're inspecting this weapon carefully. Ultimately, both of you come to the same conclusion that it likely has no magical properties. However, it is very finely crafted and would probably uh, fetch you a good few gold pieces if you sold it.
short for my taste, he says, and holds it out, offering it to anybody else. Pretty though. He
All right.
hands it to you.
In that case, you can I think just click and drag the item onto your token or onto your sheet. There you go.
Nice. Even says that it's a take item action. That's very cool.
There's also this vial of liquid.
Mm-hmm.
I can also post that. You can take your pick of ways to attempt to identify it. Apparently,
All four of those.
all four of them. It
Oh.
seems.
Okay, Valeros is trained in occultism.
He is.
He is.
Well, there you have it. Yeah, Valeros, as as Melchis is sort of inspecting and kind of giving a couple of experimental swings with his short sword, you sit down with this liquid and study it for a few moments and realize you may have hoped it was one of these, but you confirm from a little sniff, a little taste, that it is in fact a healing potion.
So this says healing potion. The one before that said elixir of life. Is there a difference?
I believe a healing potion is more potent actually than an elixir of life.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, then he grabs it, and when he realizes that, he looks at Kyra and says, you know what? Never mind. I think we're even. And just pockets it.
Oh yeah, the elixir is less hit points back, but it also gives you that bonus against diseases and poisons, whereas the healing potion is just hit points. It's a little bit more bigger hit die, or bigger die.
Okay, cool.
All right. Hide that actor again.
So what that basically took around 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes. If Melchis identifies the sword and you identify the potion and Kyra bandages herself, then that's about 10 minutes.
Okay. So, Kyra, do you want to go on?
Well, I'm feeling brand new.
Okay. Well, I wish I could say the same, he says as he grips his sword and motions to press on.
All right. I'll ask you guys how you're pressing on here.
So I think
Stealthily
Yeah.
once again for you. All right, why don't you give me a fresh private GM stealth roll as you advance into the next area.
And I think Valeros is gonna continue to keep an eye out for danger.
All right, you can keep on
Yes.
rolling those hidden perceptions then.
Okay, same for Kyra.
Same for her. All right, eyes healed. Okay. Melchis, you advance just a little bit further. There's only a short corridor that leads off of the web-infested cave. And you realize that the passageway is leading deeper underneath the streets of Otari. And it appears to be a mostly natural cave. However, someone or something has worked to open up the cavern and level out the floor, making the passageway easily traveled. A crude barricade made from old wooden planks and part of a barrel blocks the entrance to a side tunnel, with while the main passage continues off into the gloom.
Valeros shrugs. He says, "I think if you hold on to that end and you pick up that, and we'll just pull real hard. I think we can bring it down pretty easily. Okay, on three." And he moves into position.
As you, I'll say this: as you guys are lining up, Valeros is getting ready. I'm gonna ask you. Well, no, you already rolled perception. I'll say this: Valeros, Kyra, the two of you have been kind of keeping your eyes out for things. Valeros, you're getting ready to haul this away. When suddenly you both hear something you realize there's a faint clattering noise coming from somewhere behind the barricade.
And Valeros lifts up a hand, and again, with his stage whisper, says, "Hush! I think somebody's home." Can he like peek through? Are there any gaps in the barricade that you can
Uh,
try to peer through?
no gaps in the barricade, but as you are kind of inspecting this a little more carefully, taking a moment to look this thing over, you realize something that might give you pause. It looks like the barricade has been erected in such a way to brace it from this side, as if it was trying to prevent something on the far side from coming through.
Oof.
How old does it look?
Kyra, it must not be that old, because you realize the barrel, at least what remains of it, it looks a lot like one of the barrels that might have come from the fishery above.
Wait, but because Carmen said the giant spider, you said that it looks like it's made to keep something out of this cave, right?
Right, it looks like it's braced from this side to prevent something
Yeah.
on the other side from coming through.
Right. Yeah. That's weird. Especially because it's a barrel from the basement, which means somebody brought the barrel here only to like block the way. Oh, and then they must have gone somewhere. I'm not sure if Valeros is smart enough to actually put that together. Well, it's actually quite smart. Well, and then he points it out. He says, like, "Oh, that's weird. Look at that bracing. Whoever built this still got to be around here, and that doesn't look like spider work." And then he turns around to peer down the other passage.
So
Why do you assume more spiders that way? Hmm. Well, whoever made this is still gonna be around here. So let's try to be quiet, huh?
Valeros, are you attempting to be stealthy now?
I guess he is, yeah.
All right.
As
Then
best he can.
you can give me a whispered stealth check.
I will do that. I will let you know that I'm untrained, but trying.
Hey. Okay. It's always worth a try.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyra, if you're continuing to keep your eyes open, why don't you give me yet another hidden perception check, if
okay.
you'd be so kind. Okay.
So in this passageway here, does that still have that man-made or was uh, what's it called? Treated sort of rock and stonework, or is it more
Yeah,
natural?
it's a natural cave, but it looks like it's been like leveled out and worked in places to make it more passable.
All right, so that's still true for this.
Yeah.
tunnel. Okay.
Yeah, but as you come up to this section in particular, let's see. There is where that's weird. Hang on, give me 1 second. Pause your game for a second here. It's like I lost a map note. Oh, no, I guess not. There is okay, there it is. As you're passing through this area, you realize there's another ledge to your to the west, which is about 10 feet high, and then it looks like there's some sort of opening up there. If you stand on tippy toes and kind of peer over the ledge, you may even be able to spot the top of a wooden door over here.
What is this place? Valeros whispers.
It doesn't seem like rats only.
Sure doesn't. Can he, I don't know, he's right next to the door basically, right? But just the door is... I assumed that he would have retrieved his grappling hook earlier.
Sure, yeah.
He like reaches for it, holds it out towards the others silently, making a face as if to say, "Shall we go?" All right, and then he gives it a swing and tries to hurl it up there. Let me check how exactly that worked. That seems kind of more involved. Anchor grappling hook. Make an attack roll with a secret trait against the DC depending on the target, typically at least 20. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to make that secret attack roll.
Sure.
I guess I'm just going to use my regular unarmed attack.
And I will look at the quick reference for DCs here.
On a success, your hook has a firm hold, but on a critical failure, the hook seems like it will hold, but actually falls when you're partway up.
Okay. It latches on to something up there.
All right, then Valeros gives it a pull and then starts climbing.
All right. You start to climb up Valeros, and you're about halfway up the wall when it suddenly comes loose and you fall down 5 feet.
Okay, so he falls 5 feet. I assume that doesn't cause damage.
I think it does actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think if it's more than 5 feet. Oh well, if it's more than 5, hang on. Double check. Game mechanics. Is there a thing? I know there's a thing for falling. It might be more than 5 feet. In which case we'll ignore it. So yeah,
Okay,
you just
so he just lands on his back on the floor and he goes knocks the wind out of him and he says, "Okay, well, second time's the charm." And he picks himself up and tries to throw it up there again. Blind.
you rolled a natural 1.
Excellent.
Okay, Valeros, it hooks in this time. You're pretty sure it's solid.
Okay, he gives it a pull and says, "Anybody else want to do the honors?"
Well, if you insist. Well, that would be athletics again, right?
Yes, an athletics check. I actually forgot to even have you roll it in the first place, but yes, it's athletics.
Yeah. So it's okay, Valeros. I'm fairly sure I'm a bit lighter on the frame, so...
Yeah, you start climbing up, clinging to the rope, and once again, it slips. You fall 5 feet.
What sort of rope is this?
I don't know. Maybe it's sandstone or something. I don't know. It's never happened to me before.
Yeah.
All right. Should I give it another go?
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
10
this
feet.
ledge.
Let me just give you a boost.
Well, fine.
So Valeros steps up towards the wall, like with his back to the wall, and tries to give not Carnus, Melchis a boost.
All right. Why don't you give me the athletics check?
Both of us or just Valeros?
Both, because it's aiding. Right?
Yeah, if you're aiding him, then Valeros needs to succeed. Not to poke too much, but doesn't Valeros have assurance in athletics?
That's a feat. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I didn't see. Oh, yes, it does. So even in the worst, you can perform basic. Choose a skill. You can forego rolling a skill check for that skill to instead receive a result of 10 plus proficiency. Okay. Well, but since I already rolled, but that's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, so Valeros, you can assist Melchis, who just clinging onto the edge of the stone ledge is able to ascend up. Apparently better to rely on your own hands than this grappling hook.
Well,
And Melchis, you find yourself up here.
yeah. Well, I will just give a hand to Valeros to lift him up then.
Well, I'll throw the grappling hook up to you there. I mean, that should definitely be possible for you to hook it in there.
Well, fine.
You have to
I'll hook it to this door.
And then I'm gonna try to climb after you. Oh, right, I should have used my assurance.
But
we'll
either
see what
way,
works.
you're able to ascend up with ease
Yeah.
now.
I guess that's Kyra's turn.
It's trivially easy now that the rope is affixed and you can climb up
Yeah.
the few feet, but it is a little cramped up there.
Okay, so what do the doors look like? Do they look like they're recent? Are they ancient? Are they medium sized? Or
They are normal sized for a medium creature, but they do look very, very old with rusted hinges and
Interesting.
ancient wood.
Well, can they open?
Here, I'll move you up there, Kyra. Just sort of crammed in with the others.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. You can open it.
We open them.
I believe you can, do it yourself. And as you do so, I get to play. Or is it already play automatically? Oh, yeah, no. The ancient wooden door creaks open on rusty hinges, revealing a ruined chamber. Mold and rot stain every surface. On the far side of the room is a stone statue of a giant squid, its tentacles reaching toward an altar in the center of the chamber. The scum covers almost everything, but it hasn't touched the silver bowl sitting atop the stone altar. The water in the bowl is perfectly clear.
change my disposition here. I'm gonna forgo stealth and just try to be more aware.
All right, that's fine.
And then I'm gonna step inside. I don't like the looks of this.
Yes, I think on this one we are in agreement.
I mean, who in their right mind worships calamari?
Is it possible to identify what cult or whatever is this?
Sure, I would take a religion check. Kyra,
Ooh.
it's quite obvious to you what this is a shrine of. Less so for Melchis.
Yep.
Of what?
Well, it's not one of the most obvious shrines, but you think about it and you realize that the squid, of course, being a representation of the ocean and one of the more naturalistic ones of at that, this would be a shrine to Gozra,
Oh,
who is, of course, the god of nature and the fury of the ocean.
so it is not
I,
as sinister as
I
it could
always,
have been.
I always get confused. Is that one of the good ones or the bad ones?
Well, he's kinda neither. It's just nature.
Oh,
Mhm.
great.
It means it means that when he gives you berries thereabout, it is equally possible to poison you as to heal you. Because
And
that's
then
just up your arms.
Valeros looks at the bowl on the altar and gets out the little vial that he used on Kyra, and he says, "So you think I should get a refill?"
Mm, I wouldn't be living in Otari so long if I condone such rash decisions. So, okay, let's do this.
What do you think? He says. Clearly, Kyra has the expertise here.
Uh, does Kyra have an inkling?
Well, as you said, Gozra is sort of known as one of the more neutral deities, simply representing the wrath and the power of the natural world, especially in terms of how it relates to the sea and storms. So you don't know that Gozra would intentionally set out to harm anyone, but being a god who kind of respects strength may reward those who demonstrate that quality.
Can you detect magic, Sam?
I think probably, but let me just check.
It is a
Okay, we know.
cantrip, I believe.
If it is a cantrip, then no, Kyra does not have it.
Ooh,
That's odd.
I think it's a focus spell, no? At least for some reasons.
It is a. Let's see. It is in all four traditions of magic. So presumably Kyra could have it, but I imagine this sheet just doesn't have
Yeah.
it prepared.
yeah, because it's probably assuming that Ezrin is there.
Hmm.
Well, then Valeros is just gonna dip the little vial in there and cork it.
Okay. You can see that when you dip the little vial in, it sends slow ripples across the surface of the water. But there's something strange about it. It's not just like what you would expect if you disturbed the surface of this little bowl. The way that they roll across and almost seem to get little white caps on them. It almost looks like little miniature waves that are rolling out to rebound off the surface or the edges of the bowl and come back.
Did you guys see that too, or is that still my headache?
Did you see that?
And yeah,
Mm.
So, but does he succeed to get a vial full of that stuff, or is it
yeah,
like,
you can scoop
yeah,
up a
okay,
little vial full of liquid.
okay. Uh,
This shrine probably still has some power. Well, it is pretty close to the fishing dock, so maybe that has something to do with that.
mm. Anyway, if you guys don't have anything else to do here, I think we should probably mosey on.
Yeah. I mean, I am angering nature gods is not on my schedule today.
Mm. And as they go outside, Valeros turns one last time to look over at that bowl and then just at that bowl and just shrugs and moves on,
Okay.
trying to shake it off.
Mhm.
Can we lower ourselves down easily, or I mean,
Yeah,
still rope?
you can,
Yeah.
with the rope there, you can just slide down a few feet.
And I guess the grappling hook comes down easily, so
As it's already
course.
proven.
yeah.
Yeah, of course it is.
All right.
And well, I believe we resume then, going in stealthily.
Yeah, Valeros is gonna. Yeah,
Do-
Valeros is gonna try to be stealthy again. Yeah.
Do we see those?
I think we're about to.
As you poke a little closer, you can indeed not only see but hear something. Ahead of you, there is a large room that looks like it was once a storeroom for a building above. At the far side, you can make out what might have been a cage or a cell at some point, but it is now full of crates and barrels. 4 lizard-like creatures the size of human children are clustered around the door to the cell, trying to pry it open.
I got no children.
Those are no children. Those are thieves.
Thieves? What? Well, do we see what exactly they are?
They are, like I said, lizard-like creatures the size of human
Oh.
children. I suppose you
All right,
could make
lizard-like.
you could make a society recall knowledge roll. See
Well,
if you know more about them.
as it so happens,
No
I am
training.
proficient in society.
Is that something you can do when you're untrained? Or do you still get like basic stuff?
Yeah, I believe you can still make the checks even when untrained.
Huh.
Yeah, I think there are certain things where it will specify you need to be trained or expert level or whatever to make the check, but unless it says otherwise, I believe anyone can at least attempt it. And in both of your cases, you recognize these creatures. Kobolds, tiny, pesky, reptilian, lizard folk type creatures who are known to worship dragons and even consider themselves descended from such mighty beasts.
And they're pesky, you say, but are they known to be like evil, violent, that kind of stuff? Or is it something we would kill on sight, or would we like call out to them?
Well,
Based on what we know about kobolds.
yeah, based on what you know, they are considered by and large a menace to society. Most folk would probably consider them just a step or two above pests and either try to kill them or drive them away on sight.
Well, I suggest in solidarity with Kyra, we probably should give them a chance in best Serenrai traditions, and well, try to drive them away with our diplomacy. And when they refuse, then we cut their throats.
And by me, Valeros shrugs. I think it's just a waste of time, but go ahead.
Well, then I will. I completely drop my stealth.
Okay.
and then Melchis walks in, brushes up his mustache, and says, "Gentlemen, would you like please cease this operation immediately? You are very, very harshly treating my racket here."
And as you step in and say this aloud,
Yes.
the four of them immediately stop bickering, stop shaking on the locked door to this cage, stare at you, cocking their heads in a mixture of surprise and apprehension.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why don't you give me a diplomacy roll here?
Diplomacy is one of the things that I'm not proficient in.
Valeros is actually trained in it. You should have said so. I thought you were a diplomatic person.
Yeah. I was gonna give you a little sort of circumstantial bonus here if you did decently, but apparently, as Melchis says this, all he does is alert them to his presence.
I see. Well, I might try to use a hero point to reroll, but it's just a flat check.
I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, so let's do this.
You would be much better off doing is rolling me initiative. And since I haven't asked for a fresh perception check or anything since you came out of the last area, why don't you guys just give me the initiative rolls straight out of perception?
Okay.
All right.
Well, I think that's still the old one that's listed here. I'm gonna. Yep, there we go.
Nicely done, Valeros. Quite good from Melchis as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you guys are in the initiative tracker, the encounter tracker.
I am.
I seem to be.
Oh,
Yeah,
you are?
it just says not started at the top, but I do see Valeros and Kyra's initiative.
Do you see
I don't see Melchis's.
Do you see the kobold warriors?
No.
No.
Great, then I must be experiencing a break from reality.
I see a roll. Now I see some rolls.
Let me refresh this thing real quick.
Isn't that a feature that we don't? Oh no, that would only be if they are hidden, I think.
I still only see the four. But you guys see your own?
Maybe
yes.
it looked to me like that. Can you end the encounter or something? Because I think you can have several encounters at the same time.
Oh, there's four encounter. Why are there four separate encounters?
Yeah, there we are.
There you are. You're in encounter 4. Okay, let me end 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll get the kobolds in. There we go. Then that's why. They must have just changed that somehow because I've never encountered that issue before. Maybe I've always thought to end the encounter. Either way, it appears that Valeros and Melchis are both swift to act here.
Mm-hmm.
As you realize the kobolds are not going to listen to such reasonable pleas from Melchis, and are instead readying their tiny spears.
Okay, they are, because that would have been my question if I have any reason to believe that they're going to attack. So then Valeros strikes, he says, "Told you," and just runs in, sword and shield at the ready, and starts swinging at the first kobold that he can get to. 18 to hit.
An 18 to hit the first kobold strikes.
That is 8 points of damage.
8 points of damage means you cut down the first kobold before it can even react.
All right, so he cuts down the first one and then swings at the second one. Where is it now? MAP -5. Yeah, but 6 is definitely a miss.
Second one will swing wildly as the kobold ducks under your blade.
And that's his turn.
All right, Melchis.
I'll be right back.
So, the short sword is a finesse and agile weapon, so it is it works for my sneak attack. Okay. I forgot for now. Can I actually draw it as part of a movement yet, or not? Or in second edition, or I have to draw it as an action always?
If you did say in the previous encounter you were forgoing the crossbow and pulling out your weapons, right?
Well, I picked up my crossbow when, after we dispatched it, but yes, I I prepared my razor now, and at that time.
Okay. Well, I would say in that case you probably still have the razor out, unless I think it's reasonable you would have had your weapon drawn at this point, whatever you choose that to be.
Let's go with this new short sword then. Since I grabbed it, it's a new sword. I will have to break it in, so to speak.
All right.
Okay, I will put away the kind of crossbow in my shirt. This one is out. Unfortunately, we rolled perceptions, so my surprise attack doesn't work. So I will have to once again try to recall knowledge about them, so about kobolds, in order to make them flat-footed to me. That would be society.
Does that feature say anything about like if you already made the check because you succeeded in the first place? It almost makes me feel like that should carry over.
Well, it does say that it works until my next turn, so.
Oh.
So apparently it only on critical success it works for 1 minute. So apparently I have to make this check every time I want to sneak attack them.
Right. It's supposed to eat up the action. Okay.
Yes.
And I don't think you critically succeeded the previous check. So all right, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that.
Fuck.
That's actually a failure.
Well, then apparently I don't know the vulnerable points. So I'll just have to go stab them old-fashioned way. I'll go tap this, and can you go like this? I'm shrouded in darkness apparently in this at this angle. Oh.
You are indeed in darkness there, yeah.
Yeah, I will go the other way. So not this way, no. This way.
Got it.
Yeah, and I will strike this kobold.
Okay. If we were to get technical about light levels, I believe it's in dim light. I don't know what that means.
Miss. Alright.
But 14 is a miss regardless. Okay, I think that's all 3 of your actions, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, this is it.
All right. In that case, the kobolds are going to act. The one that is immediately adjacent to you, Melchis, doesn't like that you tried to strike at him, and it's going to reply by making an attack of its own. Tries to jab you with its spear. Shrieks as it rolls a critical failure. It just flails the spear in your face, but it's not a very effective attack, and it's going to continue to flail the spear with ever decreasing odds of actually hitting you for a second miss and a third. It just waves the spear in your face, seemingly more concerned with warding you off than actually hurting you. This kobold is, of course, dead. Just clear that out of initiative. And why is there... Okay, there it is. Somehow we jumped down with it. This one, on the other side, though, is going to try and give Melchis a taste of his own medicine. It'll take a step over here, pairing up with the kobold on the far side as you realize you've got enemies facing every which way.
It doesn't have a problem with the difficult terrain, or is that not? Is that just decoration?
Well,
even if we call it difficult terrain, that is a stride, but it can still step over there or stride over there.
And I don't have attack of opportunity, so
right, because that's a fighter thing.
yep.
Exactly. So, with kobolds on either side, you are now flanked, or technically flat-footed, to this kobold's attack, which means it will trigger its sneak attack.
Those bastards. I knew they were thieves from the look of it.
All right. I believe, if I do this right, this kobold targets you, and I think when I make the attack roll, it should account for your flat-footed condition automatically.
Well,
let's see it.
It does
what is your...
My armor class is 17.
Okay, so it did not... It's supposed to recognize...
Yes.
But it did not.
However, also it should be then 15, then... So 16 would hit, but at this point I have my reaction to use Nimble Dodge, so I will...
Ooh.
So I will do that.
All right, very nice.
What does Nimble Dodge do exactly?
Yeah, can you post it?
I think it's a +2 to AC or something like that.
Ah. A creature targets you with an attack, and you can see the attacker. All right.
Nice.
You dodge out of the way of that strike that would have skewered you. So the kobold's going to have to try one more time with its spear, now at a penalty. Why didn't you recognize that this guy is... It was doing it before.
No, dang.
All right, a 13 is definitely a miss. And that brings us to Kyra.
Kyra is going to take one act to stride closer.
Yay, light.
There's the light.
And then she is going to target the closest kobold.
Like the dawning sun, Kyra strides into the room.
Fire ray. Very nice. Which, you mean this one is the closest, I take it?
How do I... Oh, I should have targeted. I can still target it. I can... Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah!
All right. Dead shot. The sun.
Double damage and persistent.
Critical success. The ray deals double damage and 1d4 persistent damage. So that was just the normal damage roll, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will apply double that, which means that the kobold's dead you don't even have to worry about the persistent damage. Its body continues to burn as it lies smoldering on the ground.
I should send a message to its friends.
Well, there's 2 left, and they look a little terrified, but that won't stop them from trying to fight you guys off. This one is going to back away using its hurried retreat action. Technically, it does not matter that much because you don't have a opportunity attack, but it is still trying to duck and dodge as it opens up a little bit of space and rushes over here. And then it is going to hurl its spear at... Actually, it probably would go just a wee bit further so that it can get a clean shot on Kyra. It just watched her set its friend on fire, and it will not settle for that. The spear flies through the air, but that is still targeting Melchis, but it's still only a 13 to hit.
Yep, that's a miss.
All right. And then it blinks for a second, realizing that it has just chucked its only weapon at Kyra, and is going to go stride one more time, hunkering in the corner over here. Valeros.
Valeros is going to continue his onslaught here, and he's going to attack this kobold down there with a violent swing of his longsword. A 17 to hit.
17 is a hit.
All right, it does say result hit. I don't need to. And that's 8 points of damage.
And once again, with one well-placed strike, cut the kobold open, and it flops onto the ground, bleeding profusely.
Is there a charge action that might be useful at this?
I don't think at level 1. I think it's something you might pick up from your class.
I'm just going to use a regular stride to stride over here, and then use my final action to attack the cowering, sniveling little shit in the corner. At a MAP -5, of course. 15?
15 is just a miss.
All right, that's my turn.
Alrighty.
Hey,
Oops.
yeah. Hey,
Go ahead, Melchis.
I also wanted to stab helpless kobolds. It's like, move, Valeros.
Alright, I'm going to say around the corner there, it has a little bit more cover than just the basic kind, which would give it a +2, I believe, to its AC. That is a critical miss regardless.
Well, it's not like I have anything better to do, so...
Look at that. Hit.
That would be a hit if it wasn't for the cover, unfortunately.
Sorry.
Right, because
That's all right. Yeah, it's hard to get in there with this corner of the cage in the way, and the thing is just hunkered down.
Yeah, that's it then.
All right, Kyra, are you going to, in a bloodthirsty rage, kill this fleeing kobold?
No. Well, he's not exactly. Although she could move over here. Drop her scimitar. Or rather, sheath it, one act. No, drop it. Pull out the sling, one act, and try to shoot a bullet at it.
Okay. That's not
And
gonna hit. Probably bounces off of Valoros's armored back.
And that's it for her.
All right. The kobold is going to shriek out, "No kill, please!" as it hunkers down on the ground, going prone and clasping its hands up in front of you.
That Valeros is gonna like try to threaten it and yell at it and screams and give me a reason not to, you rat.
Take weapons, take spear, yes, most prized possession.
And their spears were pretty shoddy, right? They were just like
They're just little staffs of wood with bits of sharpened stone or bone or something on them.
Valeros is gonna keep yelling at it. He's trying to intimidate it. That's possible.
Yes, you can try to demoralize it.
Even more than it already is.
Keeps yelling at it.
And just so that we can continue to peek under the hood, that demoralize will be a intimidation check contested by its will DC, which you have passed.
And the will DC is 10 plus his will save, or how does that work?
Yes, it is 10 plus his will save.
But then Valeros does like a fake jab at it, and it's like, are you kidding me? What are we gonna do with that garbage? You get out of here! I don't want to see you in this town ever again, or under it, or anywhere. And he steps aside actually to let the creature run off.
Right. And shrieking and screaming and wailing, the kobold will pick itself up off the ground. It does have a frightened condition, at least for a moment. And it will run from the three of you.
Well, I mean, technically, it was my idea to give them a chance, although I'm not sure if I'm going to regret that.
We probably should have asked it if there's more of its tribe or something, and if they built a barricade and stuff. But
well, if I know anything about kobolds, there's never only 4 of them.
And I'm sure. I mean, did it look like kobold handiwork? The barricade.
Yeah, in retrospect, as you think about it, kobolds are they have a reputation for thieving and stealing and sort of repurposing things from quote-unquote more civilized societies, and that certainly looked like the kind of handiwork that they would do.
Kind of funny to me that they for second edition they elevated goblins to civilized society, being like, oh yeah, you can't just have a race of evil creatures that's being killed on sight, and then let's throw some kobolds in here.
We need to fill that niche with kobolds now.
I would prefer kobolds to be core race. I mean, at least they were cute.
So, what were these little shits doing down here, anyway?
Yeah.
Valeros says as he looks around.
Yeah, let's see what they were tinkering with. And Melchis proceeds to tinker with the door himself.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you take a good look at that door. Let's see what we got. There is indeed a lock on the door, which would explain why the kobolds couldn't get through. It seems to be made of fairly intact and solid looking steel. Think that you could give it a attempt with your thievery skill with a set of thieves' tools.
Of course I have thieves' tools. Who do you think I am?
I don't know. You're just an unassuming barber. I don't
Indeed. But my unassuming barber had his youth, and
It's youthful indiscretions.
yes.
All right, that is a success. You spend a minute or two fidgeting with the lock, and you hear a satisfying click as it comes open.
Oh, let's go inside. Thank you, Barber.
Yeah.
And then Valeros strides in. Pokes around with his sword between the barrels, expecting something to jump out at him.
All right. You poke around at the barrels and find that it's the cell is mostly piled up with old crates and a few rotting barrels. Most of their contents appear to be long spoiled food and moth-eaten stained cloth. However, one of the containers does hold some items of a bit more value. Underneath folds of protective fabric, there is a coin purse, which jingles as you pick it up, and also a gold ring. And lastly, but certainly not least, another short sword.
So curious.
So the gold ring really is just a gold ring, it looks like.
Yeah. From what you can see, it's a very plain band, but it's hefty. I think it's probably worth some coinage. There are 200 of the silver pieces, which is quite a hefty amount, and of course the short sword.
Since I think sounds like Valeros found it, so he's gonna grab the silver pieces. I'm gonna just hold on to that. Of course, we'll share it fair and square later.
Naturally. like you shared drinks last night, right?
Of course. Anybody want this ring?
It's not my style.
I'll take it.
So what about this sword? Does it look like one that we already grabbed?
It's not the same style as the other one, and as you pick it up, you realize that it has quite a keen edge on it. It certainly doesn't look like your average short sword.
We should look at this one more carefully then, and try to identify it then.
All right. Yeah, there is some very faint inscription along the edge of the blade, and I will actually need one of these checks to identify it.
Well, I am proficient in some of those.
All right.
Yeah, let me give that a swing too.
Okay, Melchis and Valeros both pore over the blade, studying those inscribed runes, and you realize that this is one better than just a fancy short sword. It is, in fact, a +1 short sword. And that is a potency rune inscribed upon it, meaning that it grants an additional +1 bonus to attack rolls.
Now that is a treasure.
That is pretty good. I have to admit that. But you just can't get your weight behind it, you know?
Yeah. Well, in that case, I will have to add this one to my collection.
Yeah, you take it. Okay. And once Valeros has convinced himself that there's nothing else in here, he'll step out of the cell.
And Kyra, is there anything that you're doing while the boys are obsessing over the sword?
She is praying to Saturn Ray and refocusing herself.
Okay, getting that focus point back.
Yes.
Very nice.
Where did you lose it? Or what?
Fire.
The fire ray.
Ah, okay. Okay, so I guess there's another door over here. Is that another one of those ancient-looking doors?
Yeah, it looks pretty old, although this one I believe is made of stone.
Okay. You want to do the honors? He says and steps aside for
Well,
Melchis.
very
Shield
well.
and sword at the
I
ready.
will. Let's try it then. I mean, is combat is still going, so it the movements are all get tracked.
Yeah, there's something
Yeah.
happening with the movement.
Mm-hmm.
The encounter not been ended?
Oh, you're right. You're right. I didn't end the encounter. Sorry.
Well, I open the door then.
Right.
Okay. As you open this door, I would like each of you to give me a hidden perception check.
I think I will make it twice because this suppose suspicious empty corridor triggers my suspicions, and if I had
And
it,
indeed, you are suspicious, and for good reason. As you peer down this short corridor towards another door at the far end, both Kyra and Melchis catch sight of something strange. The section of floor closest to the far door
Mhm.
is yes, right around there. Is a little off. It looks like there is a floor tile that is loose and raised just a little bit higher than the floor around it.
I see.
What are you waiting for?
Well, wait, I think that we are finally getting into some precautions into this dungeon.
This is
So
not a dungeon. It's just a basement.
yes.
Same thing I told the city guard in Absalom.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will. I will try to then to see if I can do anything about this plate, and if it can, if it is actually a trap, or if it is a trap, then can it be disabled?
Yeah, it definitely looks like it is a concealed pressure plate that, if depressed, would cause something to trigger. You start looking around in the hallway, and you swiftly identify the danger. It is from the ceiling up above you,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually looks like there are multiple blocks that are set into the ceiling. It looks like these stone square blocks are poised to just fall down upon you.
I see.
the moment that the trap is triggered.
This makes me incredibly uncomfortable, especially being in this corridor. Can we just not step on this now that we discovered this plate?
Let's see here.
Can't you jam it with something?
It looks like it would be a little bit tricky. You might simply be able to leap over the area where the pressure plate is, but of course there's a closed door on the far side. You got to get that open first.
What if we just take a few steps back and then just throw something on it? You know?
Well, I mean, if my suspicions are correct, then these, he points his finger up to the ceiling, then these stone blocks just might come crashing down, and I am not sure if they're coming up.
If they what? You're not sure if they what?
I am not sure if they're coming up once they come down. So.
Oh, you think it might block the passage?
To be clear, each of the blocks is about a 1 cubic foot, big enough that they would really hurt if they fell on you, but not big enough that they would completely block up the hall.
Ah, okay. Well, then we might try this, of course, but well, I think I'll try to jam it after all. Can I jam it?
You can give me a thievery check to attempt to jam it.
Open or secret?
It doesn't matter too much. You can do it publicly.
No, that's not bad.
All right. You realize that if you can just wedge something in, you can get it to kind of hold the floor tile in place by friction, making it safe to pass over. And you do carefully insert probably slivers of wood or something.
Hey, Valeros, toss me that spear.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but blunt side forward, please.
Yeah, you can cram in the spear into the little gap in the pressure plate and hold it in place.
As he does that, Valeros is kind of bored and is going to check the kobold's remains for anything valuable.
Oh, sure.
I forgot that we didn't do that.
You're right, you didn't. And if you do, you see that the kobolds themselves don't have too much of interest on them. They, of course, had their tiny little crude spears and some... Well, they weren't even wearing... Oh, they were. They were wearing some scraps of leather armor. They look like it was actually larger scraps of leather that have been cut to size to fit their tiny frames. And each of them has some dried and salted fish on them.
Ooh, like from the basement above?
Indeed, it seems like something that would come from the fishery. However, there's only a handful between the entire group of them. Certainly not enough to constitute the amount that Tamale claims has been stolen over the last week.
When Valeros finds those, he triumphantly says, well, not rats, but close enough, I'd say. And then he holds up the fish that he found. And then tosses the spear to Melchis so he can jam it into the pressure plate.
Yeah, so we do that. And I suppose then we can step and try to see this door.
Yep. You carefully test your handiwork as you slowly add weight the area there and seems to be holding.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
So Melchis opens the door and steps inside.
Right.
Want to step a little further so we can follow?
It's dark at first, but as Kyra brings up the rear, you can see her light falling upon some of this room's unusual features. The door to this chamber silently glides open to reveal a long room. 2 stone statues of priests stand in the corners along one side of the room, facing a towering statue of a man holding out both of his hands, palms up.
Mhm.
In front of this statue is a stone altar holding 9 golden coins.
Hmm.
A voice booms out from the statue. In my hands I judge the value of all wealth, raising up whichever is greater. One of these coins is a deception. Find it using only 2 judgments and receive my blessing.
Puzzle! And Melchis brushes his mustache in enthusiasm that I don't.
Oh, I know this one. The
Huh?
other one's a nickel.
What?
No, it's not that one. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So what exactly he said? He weighs. How many coins do we have?
There are 9 coins.
And he said he weighs all wealth, and one of them is fake or whatever.
He says this.
Raising up whichever is greater. One of these coins is a deception. Using only 2 judgments.
Mhm.
With 9 coins. Well, so if we were to put 4 into each hand and leave 1 out, we could lower. We could either we luck out and we already know which one is the fake one because
Mhm.
the hands would be even, or one of the hands goes up, which means the fake is in that hand, right? Because he raises up whichever is greater.
Mhm.
Oh no, the fake coin could also be lighter.
Well,
So then we won't know which one has the fake coin.
But I think he judges the value of wealth,
Right.
not the weight.
Right, but I would assume that because one of the coins is a deception. Oh, so it's lower value. That's what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So the one with the deception would have lower value, which means the hand goes down. Then we've narrowed it down to 4 coins.
well, I mean, by this logic, then, if we put 4 and 1, then pick one that's with a fake coin, then we still have to pick from 2 coins, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if we then do 2 and 2, then it would.
I mean, technically, I have my my intelligence, my highest stat, but I am myself right now don't feel very intelligent.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we could probably ask to just roll checks, but it sounds like a puzzle that we could actually figure
Mhm.
out too.
Yes, I lost connection, so I will reconnect again.
So if we've narrowed it down to 4, if we were to take 2 out and then weigh the other 2, that wouldn't help. Well, we also know we've narrowed it down to 4, but we would also have narrowed it down to 5 that we know are no deception. Maybe that would help us in some way. Mm,
Mhm.
find it using only 2 judgments.
Is it? Well, I mean, it a bit. It goes a bit again about rolling checks, but I'm interested. Can these coins actually be discerned just by sight, or by feeling them?
Yeah, I mean, you can study the coins.
Mhm.
They, as far as you can tell, are identical to each other, both in terms of size, color, and also weight. If you hold them in your hands and try to assess, they all
I
seem to
see.
be identical.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Can we do an intelligence check to get a clue, maybe?
Sure, you can
Uh,
make intelligence checks.
right, of course we can. So I wonder. Yeah, I suppose like adding coins to one of his hand one by one would count as a separate judgments, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it would. That I was also thinking about that, but yeah, I'm sure it would. I guess I mean really the point should be to how do you eliminate the most coins with each judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like for the first one, eliminating 5 coins seems like the best thing you can do, right? Or can anybody find a way to eliminate more with the first one? If you took 1 out and they were even, then that would be the one that you left out. If you didn't leave 1 out, if you were
Wait a second. If like we proceed like begin with leaving one coin out, giving hands 4 coins uh, each, then select uh,
yeah.
no, I think then no, I think it doesn't work to take out one of the coins from the remaining 4, because I mean then well 2 coins would be definitely more valuable than 1, or uh, the two coins would two real coins would be more valuable than a fake coin, but one coin and 1 coin as a fake coin would be equal value. Huh? Yeah.
But that's not guaranteed. If you have 4 coins left and you have 5 coins which you know are no deception. So we could take if we were to do we take 1 coin out and we do 1 and 2 and add a wait, what happens if we have the 4 coins now and then we take one coin out, and we take one of the coins that we know is a correct coin, and we put 2 in the hands. If they are even, then the coin that we left out must be the fake. If the hand with if the hand with the 2 unknown coins goes up, then the unknown coin from the other hand is the fake. But if the hand with the 2 unknown coins goes down, we don't know which one of those is the fake.
Mm-hmm.
So then we would still have 2 to choose from.
I'll say this: I would accept a someone turning in a hero point because I kind of completely forgot about that system. For a hint, if someone is so inclined.
I'm happy
Well,
to do that. I'm happy to do that.
well, so would I. I mean, Melchis after all has he has 16 intelligence, so I suppose it would be more what's the word appropriate if he tried to find a clue.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
All right.
This?
In
Nope.
that case-
Nope, not like this. No.
Tick off that hero point, and Melchis, it occurs to you you feel like you've kind of got the right idea here about weighing sets of coins and leaving some out as a way to kind of parse them out and to help divide up these divide them up and sort them. But you just feel like since you're ending up with 4 coins after weighing them and then trying to decide between those 4, you feel like you're just not quite dividing them up by the right numbers to start.
Let's see.
So instead of keeping 1 out, what if we kept more out? Like, let's say we kept 3 out, and then we would have 3 and 3, and then we do that again. Yeah, that's how it works. So we will leave 3 out. We have 3 and 3 in each hand. One of them goes down. So one of those 3 is the bad coin. Then we throw everything else out. We take these 3 coins. One of each goes into each hand. If they are even, the third coin is the wrong one, and the one if one of them goes down, that's the fake one.
That sounds like it might work.
So close.
All right. So if we were to, for example, number each of the coins 1 through 9, how are you going to parse them out?
Well, 1, 2, 3 gets set aside. 4, 5, 6 goes into the left hand. 7, 8, 9 goes into the right hand.
Okay. Valeros, if you pick up the coins and divide them up in that fashion, you would find that the right hand with coins 7, 8, and 9 goes down while the left hand goes up.
Okay. Then coin 7 goes into the left hand, coin 8 goes into the right hand, and coin 9 is set aside.
And as you do this, now the left hand holding coin 7 drops down while the other rises up.
Then that is the deception.
All right. You hold this coin aloft to the statue, and you don't see any change, but you sense almost some sort of satisfaction on the face of the statue, as if your work has pleased it. And as you do this, you hear the scraping sound of stone on stone from further in the room.
So further down that corridor?
Further down the corridor.
Okay. Well, Valeros is gonna take the coins before we leave. Are they regular coins, or are they? Should I?
They are each regular gold coins. Each of them would be worth 1 gold coin's worth of value, except of course for the deception.
Okay, so I'm gonna put down 8 gold coins.
All right, you scoop them up off of the altar there.
I'm not getting struck by lightning or anything.
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna take them then, and then
A
follow.
little light here, please. I think something opened.
Right.
Oh,
And you see that a section of stone wall in the hallway has slid away to reveal a small chamber.
I don't actually see anything because it's dark.
yeah, Kyra, can you come in here? Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Kyra brings the light, and you see a small chamber containing an old wooden chest, emblazoned with the symbol of a key.
Mhm. Oh, then.
Behind the chest is a massive contraption of gears and pulleys that looks like the inner workings of some unseen device.
Oh man, I have
Whatever.
actually guessed about Lord of the Wolves. Yeah, I thought I was speaking in jest.
You can also see, especially as before Kyra really stepped up to illuminate the area, that there were small holes in the north wall here, which were letting in shafts of light. On the far side, you can hear voices. Sounds like more high-pitched, sort of squeaky yet gravelly voices of kobolds. You can pick out a few words in their jabber. Something about the boss's new pet and plans for the town above.
Oh, this is not nice.
Okay.
We can.
So Valeros is gonna point his sword to the key symbol and look at Kyra, and is gonna say, "Isn't that one of those god guys too?" Or is that just a very subtle hint that this one is locked?
So,
Anthony, yeah, he rolled a religion check, 18.
Oh, he did? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It must be losing sync again. I didn't even see it. That is enough for you to, of course, recognize the symbol as being that of Abadar, the god of civilization, law, and wealth.
Well,
Well,
yeah, Melchis, meanwhile, will be more interested in the contraption.
Give me 1 second. I'm just refreshing this.
and if Kyra says that that's Abadar, god of wealth, Valeros is gonna say, "Oh, I thought I'd seen that before." Well, don't mind if I do, and he's gonna try to open that chest when he gets a chance.
All right. Let's see. Well, you can open the chest with ease. It's not locked or anything like that. Inside, well, I can just do this.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Inside, you find coinage in varying denominations, plus an emerald that looks pretty hefty, and also a strange rolled up parchment.
So Valeros holds the emerald up against the light from Kyra's spell and appreciates the reflections, and then Melchis apparently just snatches it from his hand. Hey, whoa! I
Huh?
mean, sure, take it. We'll share everything evenly. I promise.
Indeed. And I'm going to ensure that.
And Melchis, as now that the chest is open, you were looking at this mechanism and a little baffled by it because you can see that it's some sort of mechanical device, but you don't see any way to operate it. And then you realize, funny enough, there is actually a lever protruding from the back of the chest, like on the inside of the chest.
Interesting.
If
Now
you
that,
like, you can give me one of these.
well,
Try to determine about it.
yes, I think I will.
I'm just gonna grab the scroll for now, right? I don't think we have a way to decipher it anyway, or do we?
Well, it depends. Do we need detect magic?
I do not believe you do, especially because detect magic does very little in Pathfinder Second Edition.
Come on. Click.
I have to admit,
Would a religion help identify?
you could attempt a religion check. Yeah, if you sit down and read through the scroll, perhaps your religious training will. All right. Each of you gets to work studying these respective points of interest. Melchis, there's the lever here, but unfortunately, you're having a hard time determining how exactly it relates to the mechanism. Obviously, it probably works the mechanism, but to what end, you're unsure. However, Kyra, you have some luck deciphering the nature of this scroll. Actually, I should double check this. I have to make sure I get these right. Yeah. Yeah, you do need to spend some time looking it over. You realize that you can interpret the magic, although it is not magic directly tied to your tradition. It is, in fact, a scroll of magic missile.
Ooh. I think she'll be taking that.
I realized when I identify it for you, it's just a scroll of first level spell.
Yeah.
But you can take that, add it to your sheet, and I think, is there a way I can actually add scroll of magic missile? Is it part of the compendium?
How do you do the interact to take thing?
You just double click on that actor that says Abadar's Vault, and you click and drag the
Okay, drag
item.
it to the inventory.
Yeah, or just right onto your token, I think does it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Equipment. Let's see. Consumable. Do scroll. Oh, that's unfortunate. They don't. The compendium just has scroll of first level spell. Got to be a way to. I mean, aside from editing it directly, there's got to be a way of designating it. But
All right. Well,
oh, did you change the name?
There it is. There it is. To create a scroll or wand of a specific spell, drag the spell from the compendium into the inventory of a PC or NPC or loot actor.
oh,
So
Oh.
you just drag the spell instead of the scroll item.
Interesting. Is that something you're able to do, or do I have to do that for you?
I'm trying
I'm-
to see.
I think you have to put it into the loot actor first, and then
Right. Okay. Well, in this case, I'm just going to do it directly onto her sheet. Oh, perfect. That's nifty.
good.
I could do it also from the compendium browser.
Great.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
So there you go. You got a scroll of magic missile. Perfect.
Well, gentlemen, I see this lever. It connects to the contraption. However, I think that only way we'll learn about this is by using this. So let us see what happens if we pull the trigger.
Valeros readies his shield.
Yes. So, well, very well. Let's pull the string lever.
All right. You flip the lever from one position to the other. You can see that the mechanism begins to spin and whir, some of its gears cranking around, pulleys turning, and it seems to be pulling some sort of like belts that run under the floor. And then eventually it all stops. But as far as you can tell, nothing in this chamber has changed.
Interesting. Mhm. So we are either reloaded something or disabled something. And we'll have to find out. I love puzzles. It will be interesting. Let's go.
Would you say that 1 hour passed since the rat encounter, or not yet?
Let's see. You've spent at least 20, 30 minutes
Patching up and
simply patching up. I think that combined with the other areas you've explored, yeah, it's probably been about an hour.
In that case,
Valeros is going to say, "Are these bandages supposed to turn yellow at this point?"
yeah, let's take a look at those.
Yeah, wait a second. There may be a need for surgery in there. Just stand still.
No, that's okay. Let's spread the responsibility here. Let's give Kyra a shot.
Right. Yeah, put him on the altar. And I'll fix his leg. I will fixate him into. Well, never mind.
What are you guys doing to me?
That's a failure
Yep.
on treat wounds.
Which does nothing.
You're right. It's not
Okay,
a critical failure.
That's
It's
not a
just a failure.
critical.
So you just don't heal him any further.
So you take the bandages up and you're like, "Oh, this looks bad. There's some air," and you're not going to do anything with it.
Does he become immune to it?
Again for an hour, yeah.
Yeah, he'll once again become immune to it.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Well.
Just great.
Well, you know what that means. Like on our next try, I get to try my risky surgery trade.
We'll see.
Ay, ay, ay.
I'm sure in an hour we'll all be back at the tavern
Yeah.
laughing about this.
All right, as you're approaching this door, let me ask you guys, how are you doing so? Barging through?
It looks like we are.
Considering the manner that we conducted ourselves right now, it seems we are not speaking stealthy approach this time, and instead entering casually.
All right. In that case, as soon as you open the door, you hear a chorus of alarmed squeaks from somewhere deeper in the room, and I'm going to need an initiative roll right off the bat.
Of course.
Did I accidentally roll one of you guys?
Don't
I
know.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Of course, they raise a ruckus, a sound of alarm, and so you guys can hear that they are aware of you, and you are aware of them. And Kyra, whatever that is in that room, you are prepared to act first.
I think Kyra is going to delay until right after Melchis.
Okay. Yes, you can delay until after Melchis, which would drop you to 16, I suppose.
Mhm.
And so, Melchis, you can act.
Now this is going to be complicated because I don't actually see any of them. So, in this case, I will first of all draw my sword, my new shiny sword, the magical one.
Ooh.
I'll step inside, and I will take cover behind the column.
All right, you step into the darkness, and are you actually using the take cover action?
I think I will then,
Okay.
if it permits me.
Yeah, you can do that. You
Yes.
can spend an action to press yourself up against the column and get an additional bonus to your AC. I have to remind myself. I think it's 2.
Mhm.
Take cover is indeed a oh no, it's a +4 bonus to AC, to reflex saves against area effects, and to stealth checks to hide or sneak
That's very
or
nice.
otherwise avoid detection. Let's see.
That
If
would be
you
3 actions.
would have standard cover.
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you can take cover in 2 different ways. So I didn't realize this. So if you would already have standard cover, you gain this improved cover with the +4.
Mhm.
If you wouldn't, if you don't have any cover and you use the take cover action, you get the +2 bonus to these things instead. So basically, taking cover in the open at least gets you like. Well, no, you're benefiting from cover or are near a feature that allows you to take cover or are prone. All right.
Well, in this case, I think it is pretty good cover. I mean, it's a huge column, and
Yeah.
they're like over there.
Right. I think it depends somewhat on like the angle that the
Mhm.
enemies are coming from. They
Right.
do leave cover a little loosey goosey, but assuming you would already have the cover, you instead get that improved cover. Okay.
The requirement is definitely met.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And now it is Kyra's turn.
So Kyra is going to stride into the room. She does not see anything in particular. She's going to keep moving. Keep moving.
And
Ooh.
as you step up there, something bad happens.
It's kobolds. There are traps.
There are indeed kobolds, and there is something nasty about to happen. As soon as you step into that area where there are these sort of square tiles on the floor, these different colored tiles. Oh, did I read the description of the room?
I don't think you
No.
did.
No. Okay. The door, let me do that real quick. The door opens with a creak, revealing a massive chamber that looks like an audience hall. It makes sense that you couldn't really see this until Kyra steps in with the light, but on the far side, a broad set of stairs leads up to where a throne might once have been placed. Pillars support the high ceiling, and the ruined tatters of once decorative banners still hang from them. A decorative tile pattern centered in the middle of the room shows through the grim, I think that's supposed to be grime, coating the floor. And as you step forward, Kyra, you can now lay eyes on the kobolds at the far end of the room, at the bottom of that short staircase there. Or actually, I think it's the top of that short staircase. There are 3 of them, as you see. But the more problematic thing is that as you step into this area with decorative tiles, 3 spears suddenly launch themselves from the western wall behind you. And they actually make attack rolls. So one of them is perfectly lined up to hit you, Kyra. Oh, and that is a 28 to hit you.
That is a crit.
That is a critical hit. Poor Kyra. Oh, God. Right?
Holy shit.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That is 14 points of damage from the critical.
Do I apply that? If I do this, yep.
All right. As it catches you in the side, devastating strike. However, there's good news, which is that the other 2 spears are launching across the room and could potentially hit the kobolds on the far side. So, let's see how each of them fares. That is a hit against one of the kobolds. Seven points of damage means that it is also grievously wounded, with a spear sticking out of it. And the last kobold, a 16 is a miss, as it manages to see the spear coming and duck under it just in time. Kyra, you can continue your turn.
Well, Kyra is going to take 2 actions to So the 2-action version of heal. It has a range of 30 feet, but I can still target myself with it.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's what she's going to use. So that is 12 hit points. And that's her turn.
I don't know if we can tell that, but does the spear that launched into Kyra look like it's kobold, or is that like older?
It's probably hard to tell in the moment.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah, I'm just wondering if this is something the kobolds set up, or if it really is something that we just armed ourselves.
Well, she did trigger it by just stepping on the floor plates here.
Oh, right.
All right. So is that it for Kyra?
Yeah.
Okay. The first of the kobolds is going to let out a shrill cry and charge forward.
Oh shit.
Takes one stride action, and then it is going to chuck its spear at Kyra from this range. Fortunately, it is a little better equipped than the previous ones. So,
But spears don't shoot when he steps, like, no, right?
no, spears do not shoot as this one comes running up. It is going to miss Kyra with that thrown spear, and then it is going to pull another one off of its back where it had it strapped and stand at the ready. Meanwhile, there's another kobold who comes over, reaches into her pack, and begins drawing out these nasty looking spikes that she hurls onto the ground in front of her, right along this staircase here.
Mm-hmm.
Valeros.
Right, Valeros goes charging into the room. 10, 15, 20, 25, I believe.
It is
human speed.
double movement moving through an ally square. Just so you
It
know.
is. Oh,
Yeah.
even an ally. And I believe humans have 25 feet speed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he may even be slower because of armor. I didn't actually check. Where is the speed on the sheet?
It's on the left-hand side.
For some reason, I just can't see it.
Actually, where is it? No. Sorry, it's on like the
yeah.
main core page.
Yeah. It's a base speed, but it doesn't look like he's slowed in any way. Okay, so it's 25, but it's double to move through Melchis' square. Well, then the question is, does he keep moving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get him there. Then he goes 4, 5. Whoops. I can't take diagonal steps, right? Even if there's a corner.
I have no idea. I know
mean,
that Foundry
see
doesn't
why
like you
not.
doing that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm asking, but I don't. I never questioned that myself.
Let me see. Grid movement rules. Okay, that doesn't say anything about stuff in the way.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I can do that. I don't think they changed that, and I'm quite sure that it was okay in Pathfinder 1E.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's 18 to hit and 10 points of damage.
That is a hit, and that is going to slay the kobold where it
Excellent.
stands.
That was my third action, though, so that's the end of my turn.
All right. And we are back to Melchis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I hoped to roll stealth and then sneak towards this kobold to sneak attack him, and now I can't. So instead, I guess I will have to just, I guess, adopt the Valeros ways and No, not this one. Sorry. Can I actually jump off of this little ledge or at to move like this?
Yeah, it is a 5-foot drop. So you do have to progress down it a little bit carefully, but
Well, it's, to spend 2 actions to move it, it should be enough movement.
yeah, you can still get down that far.
Okay, so since Valeros already confirmed that there is no traps in these squares, I will just charge like
I
this.
never even considered that.
I am very grateful to you, Valeros. Thank you.
Hmm.
And I will attack the Goblin Trapmaster.
All right.
Kobold Trapmaster.
Ooh, that is definitely a hit.
Mhm.
Yes.
And are you getting
Yeah.
a sneak attack from something?
I'm not sure. I shouldn't. I should not. I mean, I have it toggled to have sneak attacks on a flat-footed target, but that one is not flat-footed.
No, it is not flat-footed. So I'm not sure. It looks like it's rolling an extra d6, and I don't know exactly why. It's precision damage, so it clearly thinks it's a sneak attack.
So that would be 5, not 11.
Right. 5 points of damage as you rush up and leap down that little ledge, stabbing it as you do so.
Melchis actually, Melchis actually should hate exerting himself like this, but now that Valeros kills almost everything in this dungeon, I can also want to be a piece of that.
All right. Kyra.
Kyra is going to target the same kobold with a fire ray.
All right. Another fire ray lancing out.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh,
That
regular hit.
is a hit, not a critical hit.
Oh.
Six points of fire damage as the ray strikes home. Okay, there's no persistence, just the full damage. All right. The kobold is struck, but does not fall so easily as the others, and seems to be a bit more determined to hold its ground.
And with her last action, Kyra is going to move over here.
All right. The trap master looks torn, didn't have a chance to properly employ all of her traps before Melchis came charging on down. So she is going to switch to drawing out her spear and trying to stab at him to ward him off. Oh, actually, she doesn't. No, she's not going to use a spear. She's going to use a short sword, which she has on hand. Oh, but that's only a 13 to hit Melchis.
Yeah.
And then she will swing it a second time.
No, that's
This
better.
time scoring a 20.
And I think at this point I will have to try. Actually, no, Nimble Dodge won't help me on this one.
All right. Then it is going to be 4 points of piercing damage.
Oh, and here I thought I will come out of this dungeon unscathed completely. Unscathed.
All right, Valeros.
Do I apply myself?
Yes, you can click on your token and hit the little damage icon underneath
Okay.
the damage roll.
Valeros is going to move 1, 2, 3, avoiding the trap in front. I'm assuming the trap in front of her is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he didn't see her set it, but if it's clearly visible, then he's going to avoid it. Move over here. He moved through this square. I don't know if she has a reaction to attack him. He would accept that.
No, she does not have any reaction against
Okay,
that.
and then he's going to use his double slice again. Oh, they must have the same target. In that case, never mind, because the guy is near death pretty obviously, probably, so he's going to attack this one first. Come on.
Oof.
Yes.
All
Critical.
right.
Slowly.
Bye-bye.
And that is a very, very dead kobold.
And then we try with a -5 against the trap mistress. 16, I guess, is not a hit.
That
We are
is
flanking.
It says miss. It says miss.
that is
yeah.
a miss. Even though you are now flanking with
Oh, wow. Right.
Melchis, that is still a miss.
With flanking is +2?
It's
Well-
a -2 to their AC. They're flat-footed, so it's a
They
-2
are
to their AC, but that's still a miss.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah, she's
Well,
quite
that is.
quite nimble. Well, that's a dead kobold, so Melchis.
Okay, now finally I get to use the sneak attack. So yeah, we are flanking with Valeros as it is the only proper, and I have all my reactions. So I will just use them all. And I've ticked off the part about flat-footed opponents, so it will automatically add the sneak attack. Nope.
I know I disconnected for a second there.
Yeah, he's sneak attacking. First one missed. Second one's a hit.
Okay.
And the third one.
And he's not in.
No. So that will be only one.
Yeah, only one hit.
Okay. And that is a total of
6.
6 damage, even with the sneak attack?
Yep.
Okay. This kobold is still standing, although she's starting to stagger under the weight of wounds suffered.
Kill the wrath of
Kyra?
Kyra. You're muted, Sam, in case you are talking to us.
Oh, sorry. So Kyra is going to move and take a stab at the remaining kobold.
14 will not land.
She is going to hazard a second strike and miss again.
All right. This one is very nimble and is not going down without a parting strike or two. Melchis, did you actually take the damage from when she hit you before?
Yes.
Okay. It must
I
be
am qualified as barely injured.
Okay. Must be my own thing lagging behind, but that's fine. Let's see. She's in a tight spot. Got nothing for it but to go down swinging, I think. And she's going to try to jab at Melchis one last time.
Mhm.
Oh, but that is not anywhere close. And going to jab again with the short sword. This time trying to fend each of you off. The second one goes towards Kyra. Trying to ward you all
come
away.
on.
That's a 23 to hit Kyra,
Yep.
who is going to suffer only 4 points of damage.
Okay.
And the last one towards Valeros as the kobold is just swinging at anyone and everyone around her. Oh, but that is simply going to glance off of his armor. And it's Valeros' turn.
Valeros is gonna scream at the kobold trackmaster. Put him down! Just give up or we'll cut your head off. I'm gonna try to intimidate her. That is a 20.
Ooh, that is a intimidated kobold. It is frightened.
Okay. And then as a I don't know if that's still a thing. I think it's 2 actions to ready an action, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
So if you'll let me yell at her for free, I mean that's part of the intimidate, I guess.
Yeah,
So then I'll
demoralize is actually its own action, so
So that's 1 action, demoralize?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So then I'll use the other 2 actions to ready an attack in case she does anything else but surrender.
Okay.
Which would be to attack her.
Got it. And that means we will go to Melchis.
Well, if that is the plan, then Melchis will sheath his magical short sword.
Okay, and anything else?
Well, maybe, but nothing else.
Okay, Kyra.
Kyra will ready, just like Valeros,
Okay.
and see what the kobold does.
You can see that the kobold is shaken by Valoros's threat, but it does not seem inclined to give up quite yet. It instead chooses to take the hurried retreat action, which is what will trigger Valeros and Kyra to make their own strikes.
Valeros strikes for 14. Kyra!
All right. The the hurried retreat actually grants the kobold a bonus to its AC against reactions triggered by this movement.
Mhm.
It's not a reaction triggered by the movement. It's a readied action which occurs before it takes its action. Right?
Doesn't ready trigger?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using my 1E knowledge here,
Yeah,
but
choose a single action or free action you can use and designate a trigger. If the trigger occurs before the start of your next turn, you can use the chosen action as a reaction. You can't ready a free action, blah blah blah, if you have multiple attack, blah 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 blah. Okay, I think the action has to go off. I think the action happens, and then the trigger happens after it.
Okay. Oh, I'm just arguing that it's not technically the movement that's triggering the attack, but the fact that it does something that's not surrendering. Which
Right.
seems
You
like
are
splitting hairs, but
yeah, I think you that part I would agree with. It's taking any action that's not surrender. So it's weird, but I think it works. It doesn't matter in the long run because Kyra's critical hit is going to score no matter what. but that is 16 points of damage. And as the kobold goes to dart for the staircase at the far end of this room, Kyra simply hacks it down with a swift flash of her scimitar. The blood splatters on the stonework. The kobold falls before it can even step away.
Valeros, getting sprayed in kobold blood, recovers from his feeble attempt to strike the kobold himself, looks at Kyra with lots of respect, and says, got some frustration to vent, huh?
Well, dungeons do that to you.
There's some
Why
frustrations.
does everybody call this place a dungeon? Have you guys never been in a proper dungeon before?
So no comment.
Well, as the 3 kobolds lie bleeding onto the ground, and you clean the blood off of your weapons and recover, you do indeed see a staircase that seems to spiral down to an even lower level. If this doesn't qualify as a dungeon in Valeros's book, then maybe something down there might. But I think this is a perfect time for us to put the pause on the game
Definitely.
and come back to it at another time.
Yep.
That was fun.
Yes, that was very nice.
Very cool.
Well, you guys made it a lot further than the other group did in one session.
It felt like we were moving pretty fast, but we were taking in the sights, but we were still like knocking heads and moving on.
I think it's mostly that we're not like total beginners. We know what options we have, and we don't have to just go like, what do I do?
Right, exactly. You guys, you're more knowledgeable about the rules, and I'm more knowledgeable after running this the first time, so it's pretty easy to cruise through it with that in mind.
Yeah, and we don't have the option paralysis, I think, also, where we're just like, well, it's my turn. I'm just going to take an attack, and that's okay. I don't have to make every turn be a dramatic, pivotal moment. But that was really cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I really like the system. Holy shit. That's such a breath of fresh air from the